I'd like to call the meeting to order. Vanessa, please call the roll.
Chair Fleming?
Here.
Vice Chair Nesbitt?
Here.
Secretary Sturdy?
Here.
Treasurer Davis?
Here.
Trustee Landau?
Here.
Trustee Liaisons?
Here.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you for coming to tonight's meeting, everybody. Before we begin, I would like to explain the protocol for speaking during public comments. If you would like to speak to the board and have not already, please sign up at the table to my left. I will call each speaker up by name at the microphone. You will have 3 minutes to speak. When 2 minutes have passed, Susan or Julie, who are helping us to moderate, will give you a yellow card for your 1-minute warning. And after your last 1 minute is done, you will get a red card indicating your time is up. To allow everyone to speak, I will stop you after 3 minutes. We ask that you respect the spirit of this forum and allow all speakers the opportunity to speak and conduct official business. Behavior that disrupts the event or prevents speakers from being heard or from being able to continue is prohibited. I would like to remind my fellow trustees here to listen to comments and should not engage or respond to individual comments. First on the agenda, approval. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion on the agenda? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda, verbal communications. Does the WCCEA have any comments for us? Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I don't have anything specific to say about the proposal before the board tonight. President Belanca and I are going to meet later this week. I think we don't have that scheduled yet. And if I have something to say to you, I'll let you know at the board meeting at the end of the month. I do want to say this, however. Over the last couple of weeks, I've received numerous communications, not just from members of the faculty, but from staff members across the college and from community members urging me to take a stand on this issue. I've urged them instead to contact you directly, to send you emails, to send you snail mails, to come tonight to speak to you, because I'm one person and I can't possibly represent the varied interests across this college or across this community as one person. And I'm happy to tell you that many of the people who contacted me, who asked me to speak on their behalf, are here tonight. And I suspect that they represent a veneer, a very thin veneer, of the concern this community and this staff and this faculty have about the proposal before you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we are now going to move on to public comments, which is the form you filled out today earlier. I would like our technology presentation to begin by about, since public comments are beginning at 5:16, I would like the presentation to begin at 6:16, so we have about an hour for everybody's comments. I think it's enough time, so I just want you to know kind of what I'm thinking on time here. So let's move on to public comments. First up, I have Kevin McKay. Kevin, do you want to make comments? Do we have a microphone?
It's right.
Got it? Oh, okay. All right, so after Kevin will be Neil, and after Neil will be Adam, and I'll try to help you get ahead of the game. Okay, so go ahead when you're ready, Kevin.
All right, well, thank you. I'd like to make a few comments on the proposal for the technology changes. I'm a graduate of Washtenaw Community College. I'm a current employee. When I was earning my bachelor's my associate's degree in applied science here, I had a young instructor named Kim Hearns who taught me about the basic needs of employees in an organization and especially at a community college. Maslow's hierarchy of needs is something that is reaching out to every one of the employees and every one of the community members here who have seen Washtenaw Community College as a diamond amongst colleges in the area and as one that supports the community. The basic needs have always been met, but the needs of safety and security and a sense of belonging will be blown away by a proposal of outsourcing of any departments here at the college. We are a community college, and I believe we work harder because we are a part of this community and a family of employees. It would be like finding out your brother and sister are getting sent to an orphanage or maybe to an adoptive family, and that we're going to lose people who were integral to our daily activities for many, many years and was integral to my being able to graduate from this college. So all I'm asking is if you can give thorough thought to another way of losing them from the family. Thank you.
Thank you. So up next is Neil. After Neil is Adam Mercier, and after Adam is Jay Irwin. So please go ahead, Neil, when you're ready.
Thank you, honorable trustee members, and the faculty and staff and students. I'm Neil Bhattacharya. My full name is Nilotpal Bhattacharya. I have worked here for 20 years, and my wife has also worked here. So with this outsourcing, in one household, both will be losing this job. I worked here because I loved working here as a part of community. It gave me a sense of belonging. And when Honorable Trustee Ms. Fleming offered to listen to me at the spot yesterday, I came there and talked with her, and following the talk, I sent her an email, and she could share that with the fellow trustee members. And I'm going to read some of the portions of that email for the benefit of all to hear what I said. Recently, I have been to Charlottesville, Virginia, where I was walking in the downtown mall, and I came across a very wonderful quote. Give me the liberty to know, to utter, and to argue freely according to conscience above all liberties. John Milton, 1644. Dear members, I'm not angry. I'm just voicing the concern of WCC, what is best for this college. The president, Dr. Rose, feels that this is good for the college, as CFO Bill Johnson. But I'll point out their leadership is a failed leadership. With the events that they did, with the experience they came with, and I was very much intrigued when she came with a different shoe and she brought it up to the dais. Sorry, Madam President, your shoe doesn't fit at WCC. This is already 2 minutes. I think there's enough to be said. I have said it in the email. Now, this is a failed leadership, and the best thing is the preventative care saves lives, get screened. So get a better president, get a better CFO, so they don't lie to us. They will tell the truth. There will be transparency in our lives. There will be transparency in the jobs we do. And we want to do a good job. I have worked here for 20 years. I want to work some more here, nowhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Adam, then after Adam, Jay. After Jay is Yimma Johnson. I apologize if I mispronounced that. So go ahead, Adam.
Hi, I'm not a student here. My wife formerly was, and I'm a member of the community. I voted to increase the IT infrastructure bill and increase my taxes so money could stay here, to where people could get their first job, to where people could work in IT. I work in IT myself. And it astounds me that you claim in your last meeting that you can't find qualified people to do this job. You build them here. How do you teach an IT infrastructure program and not be able to offer people here internships that would lead them into permanent positions here? How can you not find employees? And since you are struggling to find these employees, you think an outside contractor is going to fill 31 positions in less than 30 days? What type of employees do you think you're going to see there? It's very frustrating to me coming from this environment where things have been outsourced before. This outside contractor is going to offer these people jobs. They didn't guarantee the jobs are going to be here. They could offer them in another city, another state, somewhere that's unattainable for them. What benefits are these people losing? What sense of community are they going to have? What sense of right to work are they going to have going to a contractor? I know as I was a former contractor, everything I was thinking was, where can I find my full-time position? You're going to go through a lot of folks here, and everyone who's being offered a payout is going to be gone in months, if not the day they are allowed to leave. You're going to lose so much value in what these people know, and you're going to replace them with the person who can work the cheapest and be here in 2 weeks. Those are not people you want to have here. Those are not people I want teaching people like my wife. Those aren't people I want helping in security. What is someone who's a $15 an hour contractor going to do when they get a 3 a.m. phone call that the firewall is broken into here? So that's all I have to say on it.
Thank you. Next up is Jay Irwin, Yima Johnson, and then Sarah Caruso. So go ahead.
Thank you, board members, for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Jay. I use the pronouns she, her, and hers. I am the proud mother of a transgender daughter who attends WCC, and I am an ally parent with the Michigan nonprofit Stand With Trans. I would like to read you from a press release found on the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission EEOC website, dated 5/5/16. Quote, Illusion, a higher education technology services company with operations in Minnesota, has agreed to pay $140,000 and provide significant non-monetary relief to resolve a finding of discrimination by the EEOC, the agency announced today. An investigation by EEOC's Minneapolis area office revealed that Illusion barred the employee from access to her workplace on a college campus the day after she informed her coworkers she planned to transition from male to female. The college asked Illusion, which was performing contracted informational technology work for the college, to remove the employee from their campus, and Illusion complied with the college's request. Such alleged conduct violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act, end of quote. As the parent of a transgender student on this campus, I am opposed to the hiring of this company. In the diversity statement from the WCC webpage, it says that WCC embraces the value diversity brings to our campus and community, and that among other things, diversity encompasses gender, gender identity, and expression. These words are incongruous with the demonstrated behavior of the Illusion company. Also, as a Washtenaw County resident and taxpayer, I strongly disagree with using my taxpayer dollars to fund the privatization of the IT department. I do not want my community college to become public in name only, and I strongly urge the board to vote no on this proposal. Thank you. Thank you.
you. So we have Yima Johnson, Sarah Caruso, and then after Sarah, Oric Nelson. So go ahead, Yima.
Hello, my name is Ema Johnson. I'm the parent of a transgender child who attended WCC for his Certified Nursing Assistant program. I also am a former WCC student as well as a member of the LGBTQ community and a board member with Stand With Trans. I want to express my opposition to the proposal to outsource WCC's IT department to a Virginia-based company. Lucian settled a discrimination lawsuit with a transgender individual for $140,000 in 2016. Contracting with this company sends the message that money is more important than inclusivity and that it is okay to reward companies who break the law. I also recently completed a master's degree at EMU, where Lucian is working with the administration there. One of the stated goals in their literature, as relayed to me by a very upset professor, was to, quote, unbundle services from providers. This jargon translates into separating services, i.e. education, from providers, meaning professors. In other words, cut highly skilled professors and shift to online platforms with more people sort of administering education. There are a number of very upset professors at EMU, and they are upset with the Lucian and the administration. How does this relate to the IT department? I'm trying to contextualize this move into a narrative. This is a Fortune 500 company whose stated goal is in essence to reduce the number of professors at a university up the street by shifting to online classes. A school like that serves a large number of low-income people of color, just like this school. If you search Lucian, they come up at community colleges all over the country. They seem to have an outsized presence in a landscape where many low-income people receive education. You search elite schools, they don't seem to be letting them get quite near the teaching part, although they may administer some of the banner or things like Canvas. A Blackboard rather. Why is that? Because parents of students at places like Duke's, Princeton's, and U of M's wouldn't stand for it. My fear is that they are engaging in a pattern of nationally of cheapening the hard-earned credentials of our most marginalized students. My fear is that this doesn't end with the IT department. My fear is that this begins with the IT department. To treat 300 years of service with such disregard is shameful. There are things that are more important than money, like decency, ethics, and community mindedness. It is worth noting that when I first heard about the WCC outsourcing, I did not know the company's name, but I figured it was the same company working with EMU based on how people were being treated and the secrecy and the sneakiness, for lack of a better word. And finally, I vigorously oppose you sending my hard-earned money, my taxes, to improve my community and sending that money out of state.
Thank you. We have Sarah Caruso, Oric Nelson, and then Andrea Mercier are next in line. So go ahead, Sarah.
Hello, Board. I am Sarah Caruso. I'm a Washtenaw County taxpayer. I'm also a 5-year employee here at WCC. I'm the Executive Secretary in the Foundation Office. I'm not here to tell you how to vote. I can't do that. But what I can do is tell you what I know, and I can also remind you that you have 3 options on this proposal. There are 3 from you to pick from. I can also remind you at a time when you were trying to determine if we needed 6 campus resource officers here. It took almost a year for you to make that decision, not a month. I'm asking you to give our 31 employees and 5 or 6 part-time employees who haven't been mentioned as part of this equation that same respect that you gave these people who weren't even employed here yet. Consider these folks. I also ask that you ask questions about the things that you're hearing. One example of this would be the IT budget has increased 25% over the last 4 years. You folks voted in these people's raises, so you know it's not coming from there. They get very minimal in raises, their benefits have gone up, so it's not coming from there. So I encourage you, find out why that budget has gone up. Get the facts, do some research so that you're well informed to make this vote. $5.2 million for the contract with Elution represents 10% of the money in the 17-18 audited financial statements that we took in from taxpayers. We have other revenue sources, but that's 10% of the money that's coming from these taxpayers. I'm a taxpayer myself. I don't want to see my money going out of the state. I want to see it go to these folks who are employed here already, that have homes in the area, they pay taxes, they have a stake in what goes on here in Washtenaw County, and also they care about this college. You heard Neil say, I want to be here. That's why they're here. They can go down the road and make a lot more money, but they want to be here with us. According to a study by Forbes and LinkedIn, the tech services sector has the highest turnover rate at 13.2% compared to a worldwide turnover rate of 10.9%. One could conclude from that statistic that Aleutian employees who come here are no more than transient employees moving through the area. They won't be these homeowners in the area giving us those tax dollars, having a stake in what happens here. If you choose option number 3, that means employees who were told that they will no longer be here on July 31st. Have you thought that the very next month, thousands of UA people would be coming to this campus, and ironworkers, and IT is the underpinnings of what happens with those courses. They're here on the ground. Nicole Marbury, she's out there. She's working with these folks to make sure that these courses and the IT services they need are up and running. Has this been considered when these people are gone on July 31st? Who is going to uphold that? That's a lot of dollars that would leave this campus in a contract if these people are unhappy with the services that they receive. I would encourage you to ask, what are the specific outcomes the college wishes to achieve by exchanging our great employees for contractors? What is IT going to look like in 2024 when this contract ends? What infrastructure will Aleutian be bringing here that will make it better than what we have now? I implore you to open Pandora's box and ask questions. Get the facts so that wherever and whenever you vote, you can say with a clear conscience that you truly made the best decision for WCC. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Derek Nelson next, Andrea Mercier, and after Andrea, David Lassert. I apologize if I mispronounce. So go ahead, Derek.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I would just like to say thank you all for the job that you do in giving us a chance to voice our opinion. I, as an individual, don't like outsourcing. I only ask management and the board to exhaust all options before doing this, and to the IT department. We call this university Washtenaw Community College. It just seems to me if we outsource the IT department, we lose a fraction of the community we've worked with for so long. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have Andrea Mercier, David Lassert, and then after David, Aaron Williams. So go ahead, Andrea.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for giving me a chance to voice my concerns regarding the IT upgrade. I believe that outsourcing the IT department is not the right direction to take. WCC is a community college. It is meant to support, educate, and grow this community. This proposal would take away opportunity for members of our community to learn and to work and to grow. I implore you, do not proceed with this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so up next is David, then Aaron Williams, then Mary Mulholland. I apologize if I mispronounce. Go ahead, David.
Yes. Hello, WCC trustees, executives, and citizens of Washtenaw County. My name is David Lassert. For 2.5 years, I have worked as a system administrator for the Blackboard Learning Management System here, our online course delivery system. The Student Connection Office reports that online credit hours have increased over 6% since May of 2018, while face-to-face credit hours have decreased by 4% in the same period. The growth of WCC and student success hinges on technology and personnel investments that we make in support of online learning. For 30 years, I have worked in profit-driven corporate IT and was laid off 3 times due to the rise and fall of a stock price, the corporate takeover, or a lower-priced contract worker. I was motivated to contribute to the success of this public institution for several reasons: the reputation it has within the community, the recognition it has achieved for educational innovation, and the excellent experience my 2 children had attending both high school and college at WCC. My youngest is currently a student in the music and social work program, and my oldest has completed her master's in bioanthropology recently. President Rose Belanca addressed the technical symposium held at WCC in April and spoke towards the promise and challenge of our investment in the new Autonomous Vehicle Technology Center. The promise is great, she said, but so is the challenge. It will require a sustained commitment to research, technology, testing, and deployment, as well as education, training, workforce development to realize the benefits. Now, this is a bold statement and vision for a community college that grew from an apple orchard 50 years ago. 50 years ago, President JFK challenged us and the nation to aim for the moon, not because it was easy, but because it was hard, and because it was there, a challenge to be conquered, and we accepted that challenge. We did not outsource our way to the moon. We did not avert risk and pass it on to a third-party outside firm. We did not throw up our hands and declare that it was too hard or the cost too great. The college has declared a similar mission and an educational vision that will require leadership and capital investment and technical human resources to achieve. I wanted to close by quoting a quote from Martin Luther King. Courage is an inner resolution to go forward despite obstacles. Cowardice is submissive surrender to circumstances. Courage breeds creativity. Cowardice represses fear and is mastered by it. Cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And there comes a time when we must take the position that is neither safe nor politic nor popular, but we must take it because it is right. Dismissing the dedicated and capable public employees in favor of private corporation interests may be a safe, politic, expedient, popular, and seemingly cheaper alternative, but it will never be right.
Up, I have Aaron Williams, then Mary Mulholland, and after Mary, Breege Carwin. I apologize if I mispronounce. Go ahead, Aaron.
Good. May it please the Board of Trustees. My name is Aaron Williams, and I am an IT support specialist in the User Support Division of ITS. First, I want to clear up some misinformation about the outage experienced by WCC in June of 2017. There was a storage network device that was misconfigured. The vendor who supplied this information and the technology did not relay to us that it was misconfigured, and we had no knowledge of it. Once we were notified and once we were informed, we were able to quickly and readily and expeditiously solve the problem. I want to stress that no data was lost, nor any student, faculty, or staff members' personal information compromised. Secondly, I want to mention that at least 40 individuals are affected by this proposed change. No one has been concerned about the part-time staff, nor the contract to hire staff. As it stands right now, they literally will have no employment come July 31st, 2019. As for myself, I've enjoyed working here at WCC. I've appreciated the opportunity to work here. When I started here, I thought this would be nothing more than a summer job. At the time, I had few options for employment, and taking this position forced me to do something I promised I would never do: email. People get a little eccentric about their email because they consider it to be theirs, their personal information, their livelihood, how to communicate. My supervisor told me during the interview at the end of the project, if I was not finished, I'll be let go. No continuation, no arguments. I was on unemployment and I didn't want a huge gap in pay history. That was 14.4 years ago. I want to thank the Board of Trustees for this opportunity, and Washtenaw County, thank you.
Thank you. Up next, I have Mary, then I have Breege, and after that, I have Francisco. Okay, so go ahead, Mary.
Good evening. My name is Mary Mulholland. I'm a faculty member here in the English department. I am also one of the leaders of the Teaching and Learning Center, and I am the chair of the Faculty Professional Development. I'm come here today because this move affects faculty, programs, courses, and most importantly, our Based on my personal experience, my students' experience, and my colleagues' experience with our ITS department, I believe WCC has one of the most exceptional and outstanding departments that work hard to serve our unique needs as faculty and students. I'm very concerned about losing the institutional knowledge of 31 full-time employees, about how our classrooms and programs operate, and the Washtenaw way of supporting our students above all else. Even under the very best conditions for this kind of major department shift or outsourcing, our faculty, staff, and students will be negatively impacted as the new company learns who we are and how we operate. The extremely swift transition plan will likely result in increased pressure and stress on all areas of college and, most importantly, our students. I have to trust our president and you, the board, to make the best decision for our students, faculty, and staff with the knowledge you have about how IT operates at our unique college. I hope the information and questions that I'm about to provide for you will add to your understanding of our ITS department and the invaluable contributions they make to our college and to the success of our students. So as a leader of our Teaching and Learning Center and chair of faculty professional development, I work closely with our ITS department. In fact, the Teaching and Learning Center was first conceived in an advisory team that was that ITS employees were part of, including our current ITS trainer, Nicole Marbury. And they continue to serve an integral role on the TLC advisory team. Now, our Teaching and Learning Center has run over 460 sessions with over 6,000 faculty and staff attendees since just last September. 84 out of those nearly 460, so nearly 20% of the sessions were run by our ITS trainer, Nicole Marbury. So my questions are, how will Aleutian work with our Teaching and Learning Center to provide much needed IT training to all areas of the college, not just Aleutian products such as Microsoft Office, Google, and Outlook? Right now we're in the middle of finalizing our fall in-service schedule, and currently there are 4 sessions that are going to be offered by Nicole Marbury, our RTS trainer. Who will do those? Is Aleutian ready to provide trainers to teach these sessions as soon as late August? Also, as Aleutian being outsourced, they will not be allowed to be part of the Teaching and Learning Center because they will not be WCC employees. The Teaching and Learning Center only serves employees of the college and not contractors. The participation of ITS staff in TLC training has been integral to creating useful and pertinent training sessions for faculty and staff. How will Aleutian know what training or programs will be useful for our faculty? I am out of time, but I have so many more pages of things I will send you. That was only the stuff that addressed the Teaching and Learning Center. I still have many concerns about decision making and faculty, but look for a document for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Brige, then Francisco, then Dr. Emily Thompson. Brige?
Hello, I'm Dr. Brige Kincannon. I teach in the Physical Sciences Department, and I am totally concerned for the 48 people who are apparently going to lose their jobs, but I have I teach chemistry, so I've got data here. We teach labs that involve microlabs systems. We teach probably 5 to 6 labs per semester with probably about 500 students impacted. Those micro lab systems run on laptops. Who's going to maintain those laptops for us? Okay. Sometimes when Microsoft updates something, then our microlabs don't work anymore, and it's the day before the lab when we try to set them up. Mike Tran comes and fixes everything for us so that our labs can run. I'm talking, anywhere from 300 to 500 students getting impacted here. We won't be able to run our labs. That's in Chem 111 and Chem 122. In my organic labs, Chem 211, Chem 222, we have computers that run my infrared spectrometers. I have computers that run my gas chromatography instruments. They also get messed up when Microsoft updates stuff. And again, Mike Tran and IT come and fix those instruments so I can run my labs. Okay? If I can't run my labs, I can't teach my students. And talk about an impact there. Is Aleutian going to be here? Will I be able to call them up on the day before my lab and say, can you come and update 24 laptops before tomorrow? I seriously doubt it. Okay? I have a very close family member who works in IT, and many of his systems have been outsourced, and they've been outsourced to foreign countries. So I can't see, even in the time, they couldn't get here physically to update my computers in time. I don't know if it's going to be the same with the Lucian, but this is what I fear. And that's my data, because I teach chemistry. But for my heart, I have a relationship with these people. I can call them up. I went over there recently just because my cable to my laptop broke and was a fire hazard. And I got a new cable right then. Hey, who's going to do that for me? Nobody. Hey, Lucian will not be there to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Francisco, Dr. Emily Thompson, and then Aileen Peck. Go ahead, Francisco.
Hello, I'm Francisco Roque and have worked at the college for over 20 years. Much of that time was under CIO Amin Lara. At first, he reported directly to the president, then about 4 years ago, he began reporting to the CFO. Amin left a couple years ago, and since then, we've had 3 different interim CIOs, always with the understanding that eventually we'd get a full-time permanent CIO. During this time, we've also lost a couple directors and a handful of other employees which have not been replaced. With that in mind, a few notes about this department. I've heard that our IT systems are too complex for us to handle, but our systems are no more complex than the admissions process, or more intricate than the college's finances, or more regulated than HR. All these departments, including IT, can and do handle the complexities of their respective systems. I've also heard that our IT systems include too many older or legacy components, but legacy issues are standard in any IT department. And with our decades of institutional knowledge, we understand these and their place at the college, whether it be 26-year-old protocols like HTTP for the web, or even older mail protocols, or the many lines of even older COBOL, which are part of Lucian's banner. We certainly do have issues, such as personality conflicts, misunderstandings, and the weight of 1,005 projects that are all of top priority. There was also the dramatic outage a couple years ago. Everyone has outages, such as Google over the weekend. What matters most is that we do our due diligence in new system setups, including hiring local consultants as appropriate, and that my coworkers responded to our outage quickly, working nonstop around the clock, both with each other and with vendors, to resolve the issue and prevent it from happening again. We are this dedicated to WCC because we are professional, and because we work here and live here, in this county, in this state, surrounded by the results of our work. We know students and faculty and staff members, and we feel pain when our end users have issues, whether that be when playing softball with a coworker and listening to them complain about system slowness, or hearing a student vent about Blackboard issues while we're picking up our kids from the Children's Center. And we take these comments back to our departments to try to resolve. Some of these issues we can resolve with what we currently have. Others require leadership, strategic direction, decision-making, project management, and championing. We've been somewhat lacking in these since implementing the revolving CIO, which has resulted in some big missteps, such as the web project. And so we're here, with you left to decide if the best solution is to outsource IT. Are we so far gone that that is the best option? I don't believe so. I believe that if provided leadership and strategic guidance, as well as the project management office that we've so often been told is just around the corner, we would continue to improve in our performance of all the requisite projects, as well as the other benefits we provide, such as participating in course advisory meetings, or presenting at conferences on the work we do at WCC, or mentoring and advising work study on other students who go on to work at places like the NSA and IBM. We have been part of the WCC community for decades, and we can continue to be a productive component for decades to come. And also, thank you to everybody here who's shown up to talk for us. I really appreciate that.
I have Dr. Emily Thompson, Aileen Peck, and then Sean Thomas. So go ahead, Dr. Emily Thompson.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Emily Thompson. I teach in the Life Sciences Department here. Hello, Madam President of the Board, President Blanca, and members of the board. I'd like to give my opinion against privatization of IT at Washtenaw Community College. I've looked at the 3 plans proposed by the Chief Financial Officer, and I think the privatized technology managed services is the worst option. And I'm going to give a simplistic approach here from the point of view of a faculty member, but also a student of online services. I run an online genetics course each semester, and I've taken a number of online courses at Coursera, and then also a number of online courses at with the new Toastmasters educational program. I've finished 14 out of 16 of them, which is all but 2. The best predictor of whether or not I finish a course is based on how good the IT and also teacher support is. So the 2 courses I didn't finish were either because IT wasn't helping me load new programs onto my computer as they were required for bioinformatics courses, and also whether I get quick, easy answers from instructors. I think outsourcing IT may lead to frustration amongst the faculty and also students, and may end up leading to lack of student success. I myself have experienced lack of student success from lack of support. I'd like to give a simple analogy. We all own cars, probably, and we have to get them repaired. Last week, I had to make 2 service calls on 2 of the family cars that had to have service updates because of recall notices. I called my wonderful Honda dealership in Ypsilanti, and I had an appointment in 3 minutes. They know me, they know my car. I got the appointment. I called for my other unnamed car in the Ann Arbor dealership, and I got the outsourced phone service. And the message was, well, we're not here right now, but we'll call you back, leave your name and your number. So I left my name and my number, and an hour later they called me back, and they didn't really seem to know who I was or what my car was. I have no idea where this person was sitting. So it took me 1 hour and 8 minutes to get a similar appointment for this other car with an outsourced phone system. The point is that privatized phone service is so bad that I'm not going to buy that make of car again, and it's going to affect my business decisions for the next 10 years. I've seen many businesses privatize IT and phone systems, and you can always pick them out. They always provide this message that we'll call back later, and this is very cheap and very efficient for the business, but it's frustrating and time-consuming for the consumer. Frustrating and time-consuming could lead to much lower student success in online classes, and this could lead to much lower enrollments at Washtenaw Community College. I urge you to reconsider the privatization of IT at Washtenaw Community College. I do not believe it is in our best interests. Thank you.
Okay, next I have Eileen Peck. After Eileen is Sean Thomas. After Sean, Derek Anders. Go ahead, Eileen.
My name is Eileen Peck.
Eileen, sorry.
I do have a connection to this situation, and this decision affects my family, but I also have a connection to this college as a former employee, a graduate, and a county resident. In 2016, WCC asked voters to renew a millage that generates $12.5 million annually. Ironically, the college first sought this millage in 1996, in part to fund the college's technology needs. I worked to help pass that millage. Washtenaw County taxpayers made a commitment to fund the college's technology needs by giving it an ongoing revenue source to pay for them. By using that money for other purposes, you have squandered the technology investment we made in our college. And now you apparently no longer believe in reciprocal investment. Inconceivably, you are unwilling to reinvest our money in our community. This plan to spend our $26 million out of state is an insult to every Washtenaw County taxpayer. This is our college. When you spend our money to hire our residents, you return to us what we have generously given to you. When you take our money and spend it lavishly on outside consultants, inflate the college administration, take tax revenues and jobs out of our county, you are not being responsible stewards of our tax dollars. This decision deprives this county of 40 jobs and $26 million of tax reinvestment. It jeopardizes the iron workers and UA instructor training events, and it puts at risk their annual $10 to $12 million cash injection into our local economy. Approving this decision also makes it exceedingly difficult for voters to justify our continued investment in a college that publicly bites the hands that feed it. If you adopt this plan, under the twisted guise of somehow serving the college's best interests, clearly you have not thoughtfully examined this plan in the context of its impact on this county. If losing $26 million in tax revenue, 40 jobs, and $10 million in outside annual revenue sounds bad for the county, then you must agree that this proposal is not in the best interest of Washtenaw County. It is not in the best interest of this college. You cannot separate those two. What is in the best interest of the county is also in the college's best interest. The college needs to renew an even larger millage by 2021. Do not assume that Washtenaw County voters will forgive a $26 million expropriation of our tax revenues.
I have Sean up next, then Derek Anders, after Derek, David Benoit, and Marie Wood, and Jean Rochelle. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
Okay, hi. My name is Sean Thomas. I started here in 2016 in the IT department. Now I'm in the CITL division. I have a lot to say. I don't have a nicely written out thing, but there are some facts that I wanted to bring to light. As Aaron said, that 2017 outage had nothing to do with cybersecurity, and it is not really a valid reason to do this, in my opinion. For example, this is not an uncommon thing. It happens in IT. It's a bad reason for this. Illusion, who we're contracting to do this at Muskegon Community College, uses Illusion. They have 3 times smaller enrollment than we do, and they had a week-long outage under Illusion. This happens to Illusion. It happens to everybody. So another thing that happened is Illusion accidentally sent out the social security number and other personal information of over 10,000 students to 3 different colleges, and those colleges had to send letters to those students affected. So outsourcing is not the answer to our problems at all. Even if we do get the same kind of positions and we have immediate tech support, because you're probably going to say, we'll replace all those employees and you'll still have your help desk and you'll still have people to come fix your computers right away. Not only is that still not right, even if that's true, it'll still be a degradation of the services because they don't know us, they don't know our systems. According to your own presentation, when you propose this, Banner is at the center of our college, but there's all these other services that we use. And Illusion doesn't make those services, and they have no idea how to integrate those services as well as the people that already work here do, that already work with those services. And it just doesn't make any sense to do this. I don't think email is a valid reason to outsource IT and 31 plus jobs, because instead of canning an entire department, we could just work on the email problem. In addition, UA people probably won't like that we're outsourcing an entire department. I don't think those kinds of trades like working with a college that does this kind of thing, so that's a big risk we're taking. And I think project management, it's another one of the reasons that I saw in that presentation, and I just don't agree that we need to fire Aaron Williams or Francisco, who just try to do their best every day when it's probably the management that is the one that has a problem coming up with budgets to resource and doing project management. We're just really punishing all the low-level employees for a crisis of management. And I think we should probably focus on that instead of just throwing the whole thing out. So that's my take, thanks.
I have Derek Anders, Derek, and then David Benoit, Marie Wood, Jean Rochelle. So go ahead, Derek.
Good evening, board. Good evening to everyone. I'm just one employee that actually represents IT here. I just wonder if I am, at this point, excuse me, I'm just a little bit nervous because of the fact that I just feel like I'm a product of this environment. I feel like I've had an opportunity that many have not had within my 20-year tenure. I started out as a student here at WCC. I was plucked out of the classroom by Amin Lada. And ever since then, I've been here to help out over 90% of this room. Just by you calling me, just by me directing the calls to the actual people that actually take care of this college when it comes to technology. I just wanted to stand here to say that the last board meeting that we were at, I just felt like it was just a black and white picture that was painted. Hopefully today, you will hear, as you hear more, that you will get a color as to where we're all coming from. Thank you for your time.
David? Go ahead.
Good evening. So I just have a couple points to make, and I think everyone did a really great job of representing the human element, the element of sending our money out of state. But there's two things that concern me about this process. And the first is the information that was provided seemingly to the board. There's an element on the website that talks about materials being disseminated at the meeting, so I don't know what those were at your last board meeting. But I do know that the presentation said numerous things that just didn't really make a ton of sense. It did seem a little bit more like Aleutian developed some propaganda. The cost table, for example, from using $5 signs for investing in the structure to using $6 signs for bringing in consultants to potential savings for going to Aleutian. Doesn't appear that we really are providing a transparent look at this. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but the risk assessment also in that table seemed completely arbitrary to say that maintaining the current structure of the department is a high or extreme risk, I think it said. Using Aleutian is low. I don't know what you're basing that off of, but I would really like to see the data behind that. And then the only other thing is looking at the timeline, bringing them in, giving them about 30 days after you guys decide. You're also not valuing your employees when on July 10th, Aleutian will extend them offers, and they have 48 hours to decide. You're talking about a national company that services colleges throughout the country. So the potential of either working remotely or working out of state, it just seems wrong. So that's about it.
Marie?
Yep.
Go ahead.
So I'm Marie. Some of you might remember me from the last meeting. I did give a speech there. After that meeting, I noticed that a lot of this didn't seem to be public, so I wanted to make it apparent. I wanted to do the research because without even digging, I found a lot. So this morning, I sent many of you an email. I don't know if you've read it yet. It's kind of lengthy, but there's a lot of information, a lot of facts backed up by sites, and this information is also public. The very same email I sent you, I posted on Reddit. Some of you might be here. So I just want to dive in. The whole reason this is apparently proposed is because of an outage. And what I stated here was that if someone doesn't work in IT, they may not fully realize that fully preventing outages is an unrealistic expectation. Muskegon Community College, who uses Aleutian, had a week-long outage that rendered 45 computers completely useless, requiring them to be replaced in 2018. Aleutian worked diligently to resolve this incident. However, the outage lasted a full week, November 19th to November 26th, 2018. Before returning to being operational again, it took a whole week. So it's a lot more than that, 3 days. And students had to work with their professors to turn in homework by hand, et cetera, et cetera. And then, when we talk about data breaches, There is a college that had a data breach. I believe someone brought it up. Ellucian accidentally sent out 10,000 student and staff personal information. This included social security numbers to 3 different colleges, and that is a data breach, and that cost about $5,700. So as I was digging through all of this, I don't have a lot of time to go into everything that I found. But I do want to point out something about the president. President Belanca, she's been in office since 2011. On April 29th, 2013, the Washtenaw Voice published an article regarding WCC's concerns on outsourcing. In the article, it reads, the college president, Rose Belanca, sat down with all informational technology and web services last year, saying that she would not outsource IT as in past experiences. Everybody voiced concerns regarding this, and you know, it's a bad sign that she might do it, a lot of people said, and here we are today. It's exactly what she's doing. It's also interesting that this is not the first college that Belanca has worked for that has outsourced to Ellucian. There's 3 other colleges that she has worked with that have outsourced. Northwood University at West Palm Beach, St. Clair Community College, and Macomb County College. It's a lot of different colleges, and it seems kind of interesting that everywhere she goes, Ellucian follows. Also, I'd like to note that the newspaper article regarding the whole outsourcing and her stating that, okay, my time's up, but I will just say that that newspaper is now censored by President Belanca. So.
Thank you. I have Jean Rochelle.
My name is Jean Rochelle. I've been here for 16 years as a part-time faculty. There are 600 of us at the current time. We've gone up to 1,000 at different points during that 16 years. One of my major concerns is the people who are part-time faculty are here seldom. They maybe teach sometimes 1 class, 2 classes, maximum 3. Many of them are teaching at 4 different schools, 3 different schools. For them, coming into a system, they're not always familiar with the system, and they must be ready immediately to teach. If something goes wrong and they're unable to do a presentation in their normal situation, at Washtenaw Community College, and I've been in the situation, from the time I call for help, it's normally a 10-minute, maximum 10-minute turnaround. Now, that means that I can teach I don't have to use my presentation for 10 minutes, but I do need it if I'm teaching an hour and a half, 2 hours, or 3 hours. Can Lucien do that? Will they care? I absolutely love the IT department here, no matter what the situation is. They are helpful. They will help you with a smile. They will go out of their way to make sure you have service, and to turn that around and give it to an outsider. I just am very concerned because there are many of us who aren't here all that often, and we depend on the help that we get from the internal services. So before you think about transferring this IT out, which is a backbone of our teaching, then please consider, are there going to be the service that we need? Is there going to be done with a smile and care? That's what we have. So thank you and good evening.
Thank you. Okay. There were 4 people who weren't sure if they wanted to speak. Did anybody sign up after we began, or do I have everybody? We have everybody? Okay. So the people who weren't sure, I have Glenna Kish, Elizabeth Thoburn, Jacob Beckerman, and Crystal Sims. If you would like to speak, please come forward at this time. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Elizabeth Thoburn. I'm on the faculty here, and there's hardly anything I can say that hasn't already been said better. So I second every point that has been made, but I will add one question. Since when do we let an entire hardworking and experienced department go when there are problems? Since when are we chopping up an entire body to solve a problem? Heads are supposed to roll, not bodies being chopped up. So I think the approach is wrong. The second comment I have, and it has been made before, is that we are a community college in which people work 25, 30, and 40 years. I came here 25 years ago, fully expecting to work to my retirement. We have people in all of our areas that work here for decades. Letting an entire department go will undermine the morale of the entire college. Thank you.
I have Jacob, Crystal, Glenna. Come on forward.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I just wanted to say that since all of this started, there's been a lot of turmoil, pain, confusion, a big cloud hanging over everything. So I just ask that you don't drag this out, don't do study after study, make your decision. People need to get on with their lives, whether here or it's going somewhere else or whatever the case happens to be, but don't drag it out for a year or 6 months or whatever. It's already been enough, and like I say, it's just a cloud hanging over everything. So, thank you.
I'm Crystal Sims. I don't have much voice. This is my first day back. I found out about this via phone call while I was out for surgery. To say I was shocked would be an understatement. I sat just stunned for a couple of hours before it really sort of sunk in. I'm the momager in our department. IT is my family. Sorry, I did not mean to do that. To say that you're going to affect my family in this way hurts beyond belief. And I genuinely, not just because they're my family, I have an out. It's not about Crystal. It's about the fact that you've got 31 full-time people, multiple part-time people who have invested in our institution and who are good people. It's been said, they're good people. And to affect them this way, to yank the rug out from under them, and to go outside and rely on people who aren't our family, who aren't our community, is a disservice to our community. Make a really good choice and don't vote this in. Thanks.
Thank you. And then yeah, I think we will. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jacob. I'm a student here at WCC, and I've been here for the last 4 years, and I've had a great experience with the teaching staff. And throughout all of this, they've always gotten help from the IT department. Can you promise me as a student that that quality of help will not change? Like for instance, today I had a class this morning. Blackboard was having an issue. My professor was able to call up the IT department, and before the end of class, the issue was resolved. Can you promise me as a student that that quality will stay if you outsource? And what about all the people that are affected by this move? The staff. I've gotten help from Derek before on a couple of IT issues with my laptop.
Sorry, I'm not I'm not used to doing public speaking, so So it was, to come up here is not my preferred methodology. However, I only discovered this recently because I was checking with people within the IT department and asking how things were going. And I was shocked that you guys were planning to outsource. So please, as a student, I would ask that you consider other options before you decide to go this route. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Since we've gone a little bit over an hour, we're going to take a really short break before we then dive into the presentation, because that's going to be another hour of presentation. So what do you guys think, 5 to 8 minutes of break?
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay. 5-minute break starting now. Thank you. All right, I'm calling the meeting back to order. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around. Thank you for your comments earlier. I have a lot to think about. You've given me a lot more to think about, and you've certainly raised a lot of questions for us. At this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to Aleutian. They're gonna introduce themselves, and they're going to give us their presentation for technology management at WCC. Just as we all listen to you, I hope that you will listen with an open mind to this proposal as well. I've been through IT change myself in my life, and it's really quite ironic that I am now on this side of the equation. And I'm going to look at this presentation with an open mind as well. Because I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of you guys, and I do have some bias. I do. I am on your side. I understand. But we're now going to listen to this presentation and see what they got to say. So with that, Aleutian, please introduce yourselves and tell us about IT management.
All right. How about we just start with Kevin and we'll introduce ourselves.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So my name's Kevin Poster. I'll be doing a significant portion of the presenting tonight. I've been with Aleutian for about 13 years. I've been a CIO for 25 years in both higher education and with the military. And immediately before I joined Aleutian, I was a vice president of administration of a community college, approximately the same size as this one.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christy Siegel. I've been with Aleutian 17 years. I cut my teeth in the community colleges. I was the director of institutional grants at Ames Community College in Greeley, Colorado. So I am very aware and supportive of the mission of community colleges. Glad to be back here. 6 years ago, Washtenaw hired us to come in and do some work on the academic side, helping plan the strategic direction of your online initiatives, looking at processes, looking at structure, organization, providing a lot of the blueprint for what I now see as a quite robust and vibrant online organization, which I'm thrilled to hear how much is going on in the Center of Teaching and Learning. So it's nice to be back in Ann Arbor.
Good evening, my name is Dave Buck. I am the general manager for Aleutian operations in Michigan. I am the local representation for the company. I've been with Aleutian about 13 years. Prior to that, about 25 years in various IT positions within higher education.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bob Kaminsky, and I'm Vice President of Aleutian's Technology Management Solutions Division. I've been with the company over 32 years now, and we're very pleased and grateful to be here today to present this proposal to you. I would like to say, I know that you've been partnered with Aleutian for many, many years. You use the Banner product. We are part of the Technology Management Solutions Group, a separate division within the Aleutian Corporation that focuses exclusively on helping our client institutions get the very most out of their technology resources.
Hi, my name's Lawrence Rue. I've been with the company for about 15 years. I have a background as a CIO in healthcare and higher ed. I am also a community college graduate, a first-generation graduate, and really appreciate education, the mission of community colleges, and appreciate being here.
Hello, I'm Mike Ahlstrom. I'm the Chief Information Officer at Muskegon Community College. I have been at Muskegon Community College since 1999. Was there when they outsourced to Aleutian in 2005, and I've been in the CIO role since 2009. And with me is one of my customers, Dr. John Selman. He's the Provost and Vice President at Muskegon Community College.
Thank you. I've been on campus since 2011 with Muskegon Community College, and we've had a wonderful working relationship with Aleutian. They have been good strategic partners. They deliver on what they say. They're resourceful and high performers, and they make the college a better place. So I'll hold my comments until the day.
Hi, my name is Ray Torres. I've been working with Aleutian for 5 years. I work out of St. Clair County Community Colleges with the User Services Department. Previously, I was working with Verizon, kind of slice a success story for me. In my culture, it's one of those things that we just kind of stay in the Latino culture, that we kind of just stay within our home grounds, if you will. So coming up into the higher education world has been fantastic. Lucian brought me on board. It's been a great experience so far, and just continuing to further student success.
All right. Thank you again for this opportunity to come and talk to all of you. We appreciate your time, and we'll try to make the best use of that time. So for the agenda for today, what we want to talk about is these 6 bullets, and we'll go through each of them in turn. We're going to start with why partner with Ellucian. Why should you pick Ellucian as your partner? Yes, sir.
Is there a screen that the people in the audience can see?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you.
Then we're going to go through the strengths of what Ellucian brings as a company to an organization such as this. We're going to talk about some examples of successes at other two-year colleges, go through some customer testimonials. We'll talk about the benefits to the current IT staff of joining Ellucian and becoming part of the team. And then we'll talk finally about the transition process and what that would like if you choose to partner with us. So the first question is, why Ellucian and why Ellucian Technology Management? As Bob mentioned, Ellucian is a very diverse organization. We have about 2,500 institutions globally that we work with, and we have 3 main divisions. We have the software division, the professional services division, and the managed services or technology management division. We are in the management or technology management division. Worldwide, we affect approximately 20 million students a day, and they touch one of our services or software products. Over 74% of our customers have been with us for more than 10 years. And we currently have about 160 colleges and universities that are technology management customers. So the reason to pick any organization to partner with or to provide IT support is the capabilities. What can that partner bring to you? The purpose of what you're looking for is you want to gain access to deep and broad and extensive IT experience, and especially banner experience. So what you're looking for is an organization that it can bring you more than just simply the people that are here on the ground, but can bring you a deep group of people that can provide a lot of experience and a lot of expertise in a lot of different areas. With Banner, we are the Banner company, and so the experience that we have with Banner is unparalleled. The fact that if we have any concerns with Banner, any issues on a campus with Banner, we have the Banner programmers, the people that wrote the software that we can reach out to and connect with for any problems that occur, or a lot of times they allow us to provide inputs to new features and functions we'd like to see. And I think the key is that customer service and the satisfaction of our customers is how we measure ourselves, how we evaluate ourselves, and how we expect you to evaluate us. There's going to be some customer testimonials at the end. We've encouraged the executives to reach out to other people that use our services, other institutions, and get their take. And we can provide numerous names for people to talk to get that take on it. So really when it comes down to it, our strengths are reflected in your students. We're here because you're here for your students. Everything that IT is about should be about serving those students. IT is not founded for IT's sake. IT projects are not undertaken for IT's sake or even the institution's sake. They're taken for the student's sake, and everything's done to make the students more successful. So when we look at our strengths, we start with, as we mentioned, the industry leader in higher education technology. Worldwide, there is no organization that is more invested in higher ed than Ellucian is. We are 100% in higher ed. We're not in government, we're not in industry, we're not in anything else. All we do is higher education, and we know it well. We've been doing it for 50 years. So we have spent a lot of time understanding, learning, and working side by side with faculty and staff at many institutions across the country and across the world. We base each of those on your individual institutional goals and objectives. And so when we come to work with an institution, it's tailored and dedicated to satisfy your strategic goals and objectives. At Ellucian today, we have over 3,000 people that are available to provide support and bring their expertise to your benefit.
And of those 3,000 employees, 1/3 or 1,000 are in the technology management division, which means employees on sites, on campuses, day to day, living and working in the community.
The second strength is strategic services. We actually have a group within technology management that their sole function is to work with all of our partner institutions on the strategic services that they need. So they will help them develop IT strategic and tactical plans, IT communication plans, put in place IT governance. All of this modified and adapted to the local college culture so that we can fit in with the organization. Change in leadership management is a key piece of that. Anytime there's change, whether it's a change as we're talking about today or any change in the future, part of this group's expertise is leading organizations through change and mentoring them through and helping them manage any type of change that undergoes.
And I would just say, you know, the people that would be coming to campus in this area at Strategic Services come from colleges and universities. They've worked as former registrars, financial aid officers, HR professionals, student services, faculty. We are what we teach. We are what we employ. And a high percentage of the employees at Ellucian have come from higher education. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we've lived and we've breathed community colleges, but universities, public and private. So we bring that ability to understand not only the higher education practice, but specific to community colleges, specific to this type of community college of this size, nature, and specifically with all the work you're doing in the workforce development area. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit.
And I think it's important to note that although we're talking about information technology, the information technology function, this is not just about technology. This is about technology, people, and process. And our experience has taught us that for a college to get from point A to point Z or to leapfrog to the next level, a transformation is required. And the appropriate blend of people, process, and technology is absolutely critical. And that's why these strategic services are so important. We don't want to just focus on technology in and of itself. And I would also like to say that technology and the user community overall have to be addressed when you're moving to the next level. This is not just about the IT department. You've got very good people here at Washtenaw Community College's IT department. There are also user issues. Users have to understand, what do I expect from technology? How do I use technology to do my job better? And you can't rely exclusively on the IT team to bridge that gap. We have to add communications. We have to add change management processes, strategic services, planning, governance. All of that has to come together in order to create an environment that is truly leveraging technology that benefits the students, first and foremost, and of course, the college overall. So please know, we're not looking at this as purely a technology issue. There are systemic issues that need to be addressed, and we're looking to help you transform so you can truly get to the next level.
The other piece of the strategic puzzle is our advanced research division. We'll be talking about that in a little more detail, but that is really the future of technology, the future of technology to support academic enterprise, the future of teaching and learning, and obviously enterprise. So when we get into things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, that's where we are as a company, and that's a focus for us as being prepared for the future.
Strength 3 deals with Banner and the business process knowledge. As Christy mentioned, a lot of our staff members today came from higher ed, came from the HR offices, the admissions offices, the registrar's office, so they understand how those offices work. But additionally, they understand Banner, and so they understand Banner, how it's applied to those offices. Again, being the owner of Banner, we have depth and experience in Banner that can't be matched by any organization outside of Ellucian. And a key part of that is mobile. Everything that you do today has to be mobile friendly. The students use their mobile phone for everything. If they can't do it and have a good experience with it, they're going to move down the road to somewhere else. And that's just a fact. Our fourth strength is actually beyond Banner. And so because we're in so many institutions, because we work with so many schools, we are experienced deep and wide with all of the different applications that you use, all of the different software that you use that ties in with Banner. And a key piece of that is tying it in with Banner. It's making sure that the data in one system can connect to the data in another system, that your data is synchronized, that you're not having to manually enter data multiple times, and having the workflow set in place so that everything's there. This is your cloud. This is the systems that you have today on your campus. And so part of what we bring is experience with every one of these pieces to your enterprise application puzzle, and the knowledge of how to integrate it and how to get it all working properly and working best for Muskegon, or for Washtenaw. So one of the things we do is we look at our model on how we work, how we operate. And part of that is based on our deep and our broad expertise. We start with highly capable on-campus staff. All right. Obviously, in education, there's no way to be a service provider of IT that is not on campus. That, is an oxymoron. So the majority of our staff are on campus, showing up for work every day, day in and day out, living in the community here. So we start with highly capable on-site staff. We expect people to perform to a high standard, and we hold them to that. We expect our people to be very skilled, and we give them professional development and make sure that they have that knowledge and that ability to do that. But then we back them up. We back them up with remote resources. And so we have different people at different times that can provide slivers of support. So if we need, say, a junior Oracle DBA to run routine patches, we can have a remote person do that rather than taking one of our on-campus resources to do a fairly routine job. And then we continue to augment them with functional experts. And these experts are people that will come in for specific projects or specific things happening. So if we needed to re-architect the network, we might bring a network engineer in for a few weeks to spend time redesigning the network. Or if there was a website redesign, we have a website team that will redesign the website, or whatever the case may be. So this combination of the highly capable on-campus staff doing the bulk of the work, being augmented and supplemented by scalable remote resources and experts that will travel in as needed, is what gives us this broad and deep expertise to address literally everything you have in front of you and every IT issue you could have. Because we're at 160 institutions, we see a lot of different things. We see a lot of different technology and software, and there pretty much isn't anything these days that's in the environment that is not something we've already dealt with.
I'd also like to add that our functional expertise extends beyond IT, right? We have strategic professionals in all of the different business aspects and operational aspects of the school. Registrar's office, financial aid, student services, HR, you name it. We have experts who can come in and help those offices re-architect their processes to take advantage of the tools they have, particularly in the Banner suite. So our expertise extends not just into IT, but into the offices and their operational elements.
And that's a good point, because frankly, the ERP system, Banner in this case, or any technology that you have, and you've certainly invested a lot in technology, really has no value unless it's helping you do your jobs better and helping you enable student success. So as Dave was mentioning, technology is critical, But we also bridge that gap with what we call user liaisons, business analysts, probably know them as funky techs, et cetera, professionals that are expert in the user process, but also expert in the technologies that you're using. And they literally live in the user departments, whether it's the student services area, finance, HR, et cetera, and help them do their jobs better with whatever technology they're using, whether it's Banner or the ancillary systems that are integrated or interfaced with Banner. And we work shoulder to shoulder with the users day in, day out, and as was mentioned, we live here. Our people, hopefully, most of your 31 staff are part of our team, and we live here full-time, part of the community. Business cards say Washtenaw, pay taxes here in the community, but we are very focused on bridging that gap from IT into the user department so you get full value for every piece of technology you've purchased.
I was just going to, I don't want to forget the academic side. Okay, it's very important, obviously, to have all this expertise in all the user areas, but as important to that is the classroom. So classroom technology, lab support, your LMS system, which is Canvas. We work with all the LMS systems. We don't have an LMS on our own as Ellucian. We're agnostic with the LMSs. Canvas is by far the market leader now, having overtaken Blackboard last year in terms of market share. Our instructional design, our academic support, our technology prowess is in those learning management systems and making sure that the classrooms are supported in the ways they need to be. And that doesn't mean just physical technology. That means the ability to respond to faculty needs immediately, also long-term strategic planning for faculty needs.
All right, under Strength 6, we'll talk about best practices and proven methods and methodology. And as we've alluded to a little bit, because we've got 50 years experience, because we're in 160 institutions, because we've done this over and over and over again, we know what it takes to do the different processes, whether it's rolling out new computers for labs or classrooms over the summer break, whether it's setting up for events, in the community, whatever the case may be. We've got a library of practices and project plans and methodologies, and all of this is based on what's called ITIL, which is a quality standard for IT services. It's like SAS 70 or SAS 1000, if you've heard of those. So it's a quality standard for IT. And all of our practices that all of our staff are trained in are based on this ITIL standard. Strength 7 is accountability. When we become your IT organization, we mean that. We are your IT organization. We are accountable for your IT support. It's not like if you have a vendor or a consultant in that can turn to someone else and say, well, that's their job, that's their responsibility, that's their fault. We would be it. We're accountable for it, we own it, we understand that, and it's on us. And so we're very big on that. We're the accountable people. We're the ones you point to say we have an IT need, get it done.
There's a good point to be made there, Kevin. Just the accountability model, as we call it, is quite different from contract staffing, consulting, outsourcing, things of that nature. We don't bill time and materials. We don't bill for tasks or anything like that. We enter into a true partnership whereby it's a multi-year agreement, and we work with your people, again, augmenting, supplementing, and incorporating your existing IT staff, hopefully all of them, into our team. And again, you hold us fully accountable for success. If things aren't operating the way you expect, we change that. We move things in the right direction. We don't perform, we don't get paid. And again, we're here full-time with you, part of the community, and we are the ones that we know you're depending on to make sure that the institution is truly where it needs to be and is truly able to focus on the student and make sure the students are successful. We don't perform, we don't get paid. That's the definition of our accountability model. No pointing fingers. We don't say, well, we were here, you owe us the time. No, we're results-oriented, services-oriented, and outcomes-oriented.
Strength 8, I'd like to bring up is strategic impact. So we not only have the ability to run IT efficiently, but we really thrive on being a strategic partner to the institution. This graph you see here, the run, grow, transform, most IT organizations today spend most of their time in the run category. They're keeping things going, they're improving things, but they spend a lot of time in run. When we look at partnering with an organization, we want to be spending as little time as possible in the run and automating and getting those things routinized and working, working well. And we want to be in the grow and the transform piece. To Christy's point about our advanced research division, we want to be helping you take advantage of those technologies, and we'll talk about a couple of those in a minute. But we want to help you look at augmented learning and virtual reality and how do we help the institution take advantage of the future that they need to go to.
And when you look at these bullets and you say, okay, Ellucian, how do you help with increasing enrollment, increasing retention? How does technology do that? Well, technology is the backbone of most of those processes and pieces when you're in the recruiting phase, the application phase, the admissions phase, whatever it is. Concrete examples. You look at an institution where we took business processes, we automated them with their ERP at the time, developed their process around recruiting. This happened to be a private institution I'm thinking of that is dependent upon tuition, and increased their applicant conversion rate by 41% in 1 year. That in itself had a direct impact on recruiting, thereby retention. If the student processes are there for the students to be able to do what they need to do, pay their bills, get their grades, understand where they are, early alert, advising, thereby we can look at specific correlations between our services, the technology, working with the user community and faculty and staff to increase retention. On the bottom bullet, and I won't go through all these, is developing alternative funding sources. Ellucian has a grants division. I'm pretty partial to it because I started it for the company 15 years ago. We help institutions find additional funding. We help institutions by developing a roadmap that's strategically aligned with your strategic priorities to look at all types of funding, public, private, federal. We have a great success rate with our group that does this work in the grants area. This can be part of any technology management deal or not. But what I want to say here is that by bringing in things that you would not normally think about in terms of funding projects, funding initiatives, and ongoing funding, particularly for technology, and the groups that are here in this area where you have public-private partnerships already set up with workforce development, institutions, 4-year, 2-year. Obviously, you've already had great success in those areas. We can help enhance those success. And we've done that for institutions that are not like Washtenaw, that don't have that ability, and we've written grants and have been very successful for that.
Strength 9 is cybersecurity and risk reduction. I think everybody is probably aware that cybersecurity threats are increasing at a dramatic rate. Every day seems to bring new revelations of someone being hacked. And as they say, there's two types of organizations, those that have been hacked and those that don't know they've been hacked. We're in the business of preventing you from getting hacked. And if something happens, we're there to mitigate any damages. So we have a full team of security experts. We have a rapid response force if anything does happen. And we even have bonded law enforcement that can take chain of possession custody of equipment if there is ever an issue. You know, security is such a major impact these days. As you see at the bottom here, the average cost to an institution of a single security breach is almost $4 million. And that's average. Your institution is a little bit bigger than average, so that cost would probably be higher than that for Washtenaw. I'd like Dave to talk a little bit about security.
So I'd like to thank the, I'd like to thank the audience for bringing up an issue that that we'd like to discuss as well. The Muskegon outage. Muskegon did indeed suffer an original malware attack. And by original, I mean there were no existing antivirus responses for them. This is going to happen. That's unfortunately, some organizations are going to discover these malware, and that's where the anti-malware get their information. Unfortunately, Muskegon was an original attack. They did reach out to our systems. The week-long outage was actually a week to completely restore all systems. The school is actually functional within 3 days as well. Fortunately, it occurred over the holiday, the Thanksgiving holiday, so there were no outages to the students. And our team stayed through the holiday to get that work completed. Again, they reached out to our cybersecurity team, and at the same time, 7 other schools experienced the same attack. The financial impact of those schools ranged from $800,000 at Cape Cod to about $30,000 to a school in Indiana. Muskegon suffered $0 impact. They also sustained 0 record loss. We were purposely transparent about that information. That's why you're easily found on the web. We thought that was important. We wanted the students to know. We wanted the community to know how we operated. The outcome of all that, the fact that there was 0 record loss, 0 information lost, and frankly 0 impact to student operations and faculty operations, the board appreciated that and invited us to come to the next board meeting where they thanked us publicly and in fact ending in a standing ovation. So it did happen. It's not a good thing. We feel we did the best possible to mitigate the risk and the impact, and we hope we don't have that opportunity here, but if it was to occur, we have those skill sets. I apologize. The final element, actually, I'm looking at the gentleman who worked with them, we got a visit from the FBI and the Secret Service, normally not something that you want to talk about. However, in this case, they came knocking to ask us if we would help them and work with them to mitigate that risk to other institutions. And we have done that. In fact, we continue that relationship with those organizations.
Strength 10 is our advanced research division. I'm going to let Christy address this one because this is her special.
And Lawrence should probably help here too as well. So within Ellucian, we have what is called the Advanced Research Division. We've always had it, but I'd say in the last 3 years it's become on hyperdrive because of what's happening with technology, particularly in relationship to higher education. So when we talk about advanced student learning technologies, whether they be online, on ground, or hybrid, we're talking about all of them. So the application of artificial intelligence, for example, in the teaching experience, both on ground, in the classroom, and online. What's happening, what's going on, what types of things are being done so we can bring to faculty here, showing them, helping them understand how they can infuse that into their curriculum and to be able to be knowledgeable about what's out there. It's not to push technology for technology's sake. It's the understanding and awareness, which most faculty are already aware because they're teaching the content, they're going to conferences, they're hearing from their peers, they're seeing what their colleague is doing down the hall. It's making that relevant. It's making that understandable for them. So within our area, we can support that. Right now, we have a lot of institutions very interested in chatbots. Chatbots are the thing at the moment. If you remember several years ago, there was, it just went out of my head, the island I was thinking about, where we did a lot of work in Second Life. Oh my gosh, it's been years. But those were experimental, what are they doing, how can it relate, does it even work for me types of engagements. Chatbots right now are important because in our lives, we're seeing and using them when we shop on Amazon. We're seeing and using them at the bank. We're using them every day. So how does that help an institution? How does that support, a student through their life cycle? And right now, we've already built chatbot for Banner. So you're a Banner institution. You don't have to go out and pay a studio or a salon to build you a chatbot. It's been built, it works with Banner. You want it, we will give it to you. It's not anything that you have to pay for. It's the technology and the framework that's already there because that's what we're doing in this division. We have examples of these things. We can make that available to the board, the videos. One piece is the dorm room of the future and looking at student residential life and Alexa and talking to a student through their mirror when they're getting ready and telling them what their classes schedule is and did they remember they had a test today and their dad called and all those kinds of things, to be right there with them, whether it be on the phone, in their dorm, on the go, in their lab, when they log on to the portal. What is important to me? It's that personalized learning and using those advanced technologies to support that. And then, of course, all of the pieces around virtual reality, 3D, holograms, and how that's being applied in online education and on ground. We're working with those areas. We're tied with Harvard and MIT right now on blockchain and how that's being looked at from a security perspective and transcripts. So it's a place for us to be able to invite our clients and customers too, so you can explore as well as understand what's out there.
And I think it's a key of the partnership, this type of service. What we're doing is creating research and practices that you can pull from when you're ready and want them. And that's part of what we're trying to provide to the on-site staff, is these capabilities that they don't normally get to explore and they don't normally get to go after because they have a day-to-day job that's taking their time, and they have to focus on what do I have to do today, how do I have to serve the students. By us doing this research, we're able to get that and distribute it to our clients, our partners, and have you pull it in through our governance. We talked about governance, strategic planning. We pull everything in through there, so the institution's making the decision, not necessarily IT by itself, but faculty, staff, students working in that governance process to prioritize these technologies and say, what's important to us? Let's get that working. You don't have to research it. You don't have to test it. We've done all that work. So it's a synergy of success that comes from this type of research. And then, that's the grants too. Like, we're doing that type of research on what kind of grants can do, pathways. How can you get money to help with that project? And we work with several schools in those areas too, where we're distributing practices around that also.
I think another advantage we bring is we exploit the size that we have and the number of schools we're involved with. So you see a lot of these separate technologies, and those are in fact being researched at a number of our schools, right? They're in real life situations. But what we also bring is that upper layer of integration. How does this actually combine down the road? What's it going to look like on our campuses? How is it combined going to affect how students interact with the schools, how our faculty interact with students, and the like? So that's the other layer we bring in. We're able to develop these technologies across the nation, but then we're also able to look at that across and bring them all together into what that whole unified experience is going to look like going down the road.
And just one thing back on the dorm room of the future Christy mentioned. We actually have a working dorm room, which isn't just for dorm rooms, it's student interaction spaces, that show how do students interact with technologies. How do you get Alexa into a student space, whether it's a commons or their dorm room in that case. You can go to the office, actually play around with it. And we send our employees there to look at it and say, hey, here's what your students might be expecting. Like, how are you going to integrate this back at the school? We do that with schools that are building new buildings. Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College in Mississippi, they were building a new performing arts center. And instead of them hiring a contractor to come in and talk about advanced technologies, we provided that expertise. Again, at no extra cost, because we're a fixed cost contract providing that type of service. And we help them implement technologies that when patrons come up to a painting, it'll display information about the painting, or when they go get to the concession stand, it knows what they like and will ask them if they want to order it. So those types of things that help them with their community.
Just one last thing. I think in talking about all of these advanced technologies and just knowing from our own experience, your experience, the experience of the students, faculty, staff, it goes without saying that technology is a very, very complex discipline and profession in and of itself. Very complex and changing extremely rapidly. In fact, studies are saying that it's changing exponentially. The students that you're training today, you're training them for jobs that don't even exist yet because of the advent of technology. We've been doing this for a long, long time. Me personally for about 32 years, the company for about 50. And frankly, we haven't come across one institution yet that was founded for the purpose of managing technology. That doesn't mean you haven't been very successful in pulling together a very good IT group, a very good people. But your focus, your mission is teaching and learning, student success. Our focus, our mission is to be the best IT specialist and to be the best IT partner we can possibly be. And by bringing those things together, allowing us to do what we do best so that you can do what you do best, and being able to infuse all of that knowledge that comes from specializing in this, again, very complex field, we're able to bring your current IT people to a level where I think they would become very, very excited about. And I also want to say that we get it. We totally understand the emotion, the uncertainty, the unpredictability, the fear. We get it. Why? Almost 90% of our employees were sitting in those seats at one point or another, and now they're experiencing wonderful careers with Ellucian. So we get that. And our goal is hopefully to work together in a mutually beneficial partnership so we can leverage these thousands and thousands of person years of cumulative expertise in technology, as well as helping colleges advance by leveraging technology, working with your people and you to get to the next level.
All right, the last strength is the transition, the initial transition, and this is the transition from your current staff to an Ellucian run organization. So a key part of this is that we work with your faculty and staff. We want to make it as successful as possible. We obviously don't want any balls dropped. And we've got a process, because we've done this dozens and dozens and hundreds of times. We've made this transition. In fact, you'll note on the slides talked about cited as best in class. Plant Moran, who does a number of assessments and IT assessments and accounting assessments, actually gave us a citation for having the best in class in the transition process on how we make this transition happen. It starts with, as you can see there, information gathering. In this phase, what we're doing is we're documenting everything on campus, everything that's being used, everything that we know about, everything that we hopefully can find out about, and who has the keys to it, who has the knowledge of where it goes, how it works, what needs to happen on what dates. And we then start setting out our planning. What are we going to do to make sure that no balls are dropped, to make sure that everything happens? All of this is as we're preparing for that fall start on August 26th. That is our #1 priority, to make sure that goes well. Then we actually do the transition period, where we transition from your current staff to what will hopefully be your current staff on our payroll. And then we start implementing the processes along with the people and the tools to make this all successful and make it work well. Now, obviously, we stole this line from State Farm.
They stole it from us.
But we do know a thing or two because we've seen a thing or two. So what happens is the staff that are on campus, the remote staff, the experts, because they work with so many institutions, we're able to spread that knowledge out to institutions, and then those institutions in turn help educate us and get us more knowledgeable and more worldly, and help us continue to refine our processes and develop our procedures and our practices, so that as we get this knowledge, we have all kinds of benefits that come out of that. And it's primarily and exclusively because we work with so many institutions and so many different products, so many different activities.
And those communities of practice, that understanding of what institutions are doing day to day is really critical. So your technical directors talk with technical directors, your CIOs talk with CIOs, your user services managers are talking to user services managers. You're understanding, what are you doing at your institution when XYZ happens, or did this happen to you? It's that sharing that is fast and easy to get, that's not just go to Google and figure it out, or find a YouTube video and figure it out. It is that community that's really critical to our success.
And we actually build a database of skill sets and knowledge. And every one of our staff members has that access to that database. So if a problem pops up that they've not seen before, they can look in the database at who's dealt with it and who knows that skill, pick up the phone and call that person, say, how'd you do this? How does this work? How can we fix this? Or how can we implement this? So the next thing is just simply a sample of some of our two-year college clients around the country. Did you want?
I just wanted to, I know this is a busy slide, but obviously you know the three that are here in the state of Michigan where we do technology management services for Delta, SC4, and Muskegon. This is a representation or sampling of colleges from across the country. We're in 31 states, I believe, in North America. Many of these institutions, particularly the 7 that we have in New Jersey, are the size of Washtenaw or larger. We have supersized, what I call supersized community colleges, one in Nevada that comes to mind with 50,000 students plus. And we have small institutions. I mean, obviously the plethora and the variety is there, but this was to give you an idea of the types of schools, particularly community colleges, because that's what your peers are. So we're not going to put up the 4-year publics and privates.
So talk just briefly about a couple of success stories. Operational successes at two-year colleges. The first one is at Pearl River Community College. With this one, with our technology management help, we were able to yield over $1.7 million that they were able to then reinvest into student initiatives. And you can see here what they did with that money. They were able to implement degree works for guided pathways and focus on student completion. They were able to put up a campus portal and a mobile app. And they were able to deploy wireless throughout the entire campus. They do this through, and they get this money through a couple of different ways. One of the ways is we help them identify duplicative costs. So sometimes campuses have 2 or 3 software packages that are all doing the same things. So we help them get rid of that or minimize that to the extent possible. Sometimes there's a valid need for it, and we help them evaluate that. We also are able to help negotiate on the institution's behalf with vendors. So when you're buying new network gear, new servers, other software, we're able to help negotiate because we know what prices we see at all of the institutions across the country. And then lastly, there's savings through labor efficiencies. So as we help integrate the systems, as we help automate processes, there's labor savings. And a lot of times those people are then repurposed for higher use in serving the students instead of doing the manual paper processes. I'll just hit a couple of these real quickly. Ulster County Community College in New York, we save them over $600,000 that were used for student success programs. We created a student retention plan for them. It was a strategic plan that was their biggest problem that they were dealing with, and so we helped them develop that plan. And then they used more of the savings to develop a brand new state-of-the-art website. All of these things that we'll put here, and I got one more slide of these, the institution has to agree and sign off on it and say, yes, you did save us that, yes, that's what we did, before we can put it on here. So these are all, if you contact the institution, they'll tell you the same thing.
Actually, an article came out today on the Pearl River Guided Pathways Student Success Initiative. I think it's an education dive. I saw it when I was boarding the plane. We'll make sure you get a copy of it, but it was just out this morning.
Ocean County College in New Jersey, we got them over $20 million in grant funding, and they've used it for faculty resources and student retention initiatives. And then College of Southern Nevada, again, $3.7 million in savings from vendor negotiations and equipment savings. This was an institution when we first got there. They had equipment that hadn't been deployed, that was sitting in closets. They had equipment that never made it to the customer before the warranty ran out. So by improving those processes, we saved them a ton of money on simply equipment purchases. They use those savings to help promote first-generation student awareness and success. So this is where we love to be. We love to be helping you help your students.
And some of this first-generation stuff was actually the form of a video they created where they took 5 students who were first-generation students and followed them through their process of community college to create awareness, to show the successes they've had and help community colleges in general.
That video was called No Greater Odds, and it actually was nominated for an Emmy. And we supported the production of that as well.
Okay, the next thing we'd like to do is give you some voices from our partners. And I think Dave Buck will introduce the first guest.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Dr. John Selman, the Provost and Executive Vice President at Muskegon Community College. Dr. Selman's been with the school since 2011, is that correct? 2011. He works very closely. He is responsible for the school's student success initiatives, amongst everything else. Again, the Executive Vice President. We've asked Dr. Selman to join us tonight. We thought it might be useful for you to hear from one of the other customers in the state. And so we'd asked him to talk a little bit about his interactions with the team.
Speak into the mic.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, can you hear me? Okay, good. Well, thanks, Dave. I think you heard some of my comments a little earlier about our experience with Ellucian, and but they help us with our overall strategic initiatives with the college, our strategic planning, our strategic enrollment management planning, and they just, so it's a real partnership. It's a quality service. You've heard some of the things they do, but it's really a quality service for the college, and we think we benefit from that. And so, and they really help us out with our student success and completion agenda. Our president couldn't be here, so I'm here on his behalf. And he has a short video review for you to look at. And I don't know how much of a presentation is, but a video review for you to that he wanted to share with you. He wasn't able to make it here tonight, so I'm here, like I said, on his behalf. And so if we go to that video.
Can we play it?
Technology drives most of what we do on campus, and we like to say that we're technology-informed institutions, but to a certain extent, we're technology-driven institutions. Technology has supported any number of initiatives that we have on campus, and for me as president, I wanted to see our student success initiatives move forward. Managed Services has helped Muskegon meet our organizational goals. Our IT staff and the broader Ellucian staff bring people to the table that we simply couldn't bring to the table. Our technology management services from Ellucian began in 2005. That was a few years before I came on board, but we selected Ellucian because we were a homegrown system. We had staff on campus, but they lacked in certain skill sets. Ellucian filled in the gaps. Do we have challenges with respect to keeping skilled IT staff on board? The short story is yes, we do, but we've been able to keep them on board, from what I understand, more effectively than other institutions because they are paid well. We provide them with professional development services through the institution, even though they're not technically our employees. Many of them were with the college prior to coming to Ellucian. So we think they are our employees. I'll use an example. Our Chief Information Officer, Mike Alstrom, has been with us for 20 years. He brings student success materials to our table that some of our student success staff don't. I think it's very important to have a Chief Information Officer on campus. I've gotten some pushback from that, by the way. Why do we have the tech guy sitting here? And my response is, frankly, because he provides me better information than you do.
Thank you. I won't take up any more of your time. We're just highly satisfied with the service. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we've got a couple of other quotes here. I'll go through them a little quickly, but we can provide these to you to look at as you would like. This is a College of Lake County trustee, and her point was that we not only support the institution in IT, but in the maturity of the entire operations. We're side by side helping them on strategic initiatives and helping them reach more students and improve their outcomes. This is probably one of my favorite quotes because it comes from the accreditation agency for College of Southern Nevada. As they were going through the accreditation, the agency acknowledged their IT department and their extensive support of the campus community with IT services. It says it's evident that information technology practices a high level of customer service, commitment to professional and student career development, development of community partnerships, and a future-oriented approach. At the time, the accreditation agency didn't even know that Ellucian was the one providing these services. They thought it was the college employees. And we like it that way. We want to be known as the college IT department. We don't want to be known as the Ellucian folks at the college. Here's a vice president. This is actually another vice president from Muskegon talking about how we've professionalized the whole IT department, quite responsive when we have a request. Also forward-looking, helping us solve problems, even ones we haven't anticipated yet. And her point here is that we're one of them. They don't look at them as Aleutian employees. They're MCC. They're part of the family. We had a couple of faculty that wrote in from Muskegon Community College. This is an instructor in the digital arts media. He's a digital game developer, and he believes that we are a strong value add for the college. We've helped refine and articulate the vision of technology for the college. We've proactively instrumental in implementing processes that help manage change in the technical landscape and been responsible with follow-up to faculty and students for technical operations. This one is probably impossible to read on the screens, but this is the director of the music department at Muskegon and the chair of the Technology Council. And he addresses the professionalism, the unceasing effort to serve the students, the access that Aleutian gives them to the technology support and unparalleled support. And let's see, what else? And it says, whenever we embark upon projects or reviews, Aleutian is always providing higher education resources. And so we'll bring in, and that's the point that we brought up, we'll bring in people to talk about a wide range of subjects, regardless of what the subject is. Anything related to higher education technology, we can bring in someone to speak to the community and the college about.
We also take it a step further. In this case, Dan Myers, the director of the music, he and the president of the school, we coordinated a visit with them with another school on the East Coast so they could share their new digital and analog recording studio. It's a program that Muskegon was interested in developing. And so even though the other school was not a technology management client, they knew what we were working with, and we would approach them in a range of visit. And so they were able to stand on that school's shoulders to build their program, and they're in the process of that now. So those are the other kinds of intangibles that we like to bring. We love to share that network that we've developed, not just among IT, but among faculty and staff.
And then just one more comment from the faculty at Muskegon. This is the department chair for the Entrepreneur Institute and a business faculty member. And he says, in the 10 years I've worked with them, the Aleutian philosophy has always been to provide outstanding customer service at all levels in the community college. As a faculty member, they've responded within minutes when I've had technical issues in the classroom. As chair of the department that included CIS, I've observed them working with expert faculty members to create unique solutions for our students, while at the same time protecting the data access and integrity of the college's information. On rare occasions when they could not come up with a solution, our Aleutian representatives sought out expertise within the company, and I found them to be very mindful of the budget, yet flexible enough to find solutions that still fit within the monetary boundaries. A philosophy of outstanding service, a partnering mindset, and an eye on maintaining budget makes for a great IT partner, in my opinion. So this is what some of our customers say about us. And again, we encourage you to reach out to people you may know at some of the institutions you've seen even on the slide deck so far, and do your own discovery.
And by the way, I want to thank Dr. Selman for joining us here today on behalf of Dr. Nesberry, but I didn't want to keep picking on Muskegon. I mean, we work with hundreds of community college or institutions around the country, but kind of last minute we thought it would be helpful. Dave is local, he's responsible for Michigan, and we quickly contacted one of our local Michigan clients we thought would be suitable for Washtenaw, but we have literally reams and reams of information like this to share if you choose.
Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is what does it mean for your current IT staff? So the first bullet is it's the opportunity to work with top professionals in the #1 company in their chosen field. The people that are in IT and the people at your institution that work in your IT department chose to be in IT. They want to be IT people and they want to be leaders in their field. And for an organization, when you're at a college, it can do a lot for them, but there's a limit on how far they're able to go and how far they're able to progress. And unfortunately, sometimes at some schools, it becomes a point where you can't progress until someone else moves on. With Aleutian, we are the #1 firm in their chosen field, higher education technology. When they join the institution, when they join Ellucian, they have career paths. They have whether they want to stay on the technical side or whether they want to go to the managerial side. And in fact, the vast majority of our senior leaders in technology management all came from lower levels in education technology. And we've got a couple examples of that here, even with you today. So I'd like to give them an opportunity to talk. So Mike, if you want to start first.
Thank you. I want to talk about my experience. 14 years ago, it was the summer of 2005, and I found out after the decision was made that my job was going to be outsourced. And I remember that I remember being afraid, and I remember being angry, resenting the college at the time, and had to give it some thought and made a choice. I made a conscious choice to stay with the company. And time progressed. I was no longer a college employee. I was an Ellucian employee. And it didn't take long, and you know, I stopped being mad about it and started getting interested. And then I started getting excited because there was opportunities. Things started to move fast. Problems that we had that we couldn't solve on our own, we started bringing people in with areas of expertise, and we were able to solve things, difficult problems. Started to feel like we were on the winning team. I later found out that the college had made that choice because we were on a homegrown ERP system. We had been since the late 70s. And Plant Moran came to the college and did an assessment and told us that we were light years away from where we needed to be in order to move forward. Moving from a homegrown system to an ERP system is a complicated project, and Ellucian was able to help us get that done. But not only that, I got a lot of personal gain and benefit from this. I got my bachelor's degree working for Ellucian. They helped pay for my college. I got my master's degree working for Ellucian. I got my ITIL certification and my project management professional certification. Had leadership training, opportunities to present at conferences, the Michigan Community College Association Student Success Summit, Achieving the Dream, AACC, ACCT with the president and board chair. And these are things I never saw myself doing back when as a network administrator. And these are things that have happened for me and happened for people I know. I had a student intern that became an Ellucian employee and rose through the ranks, and now he's a chief information officer at a college in Ohio. There's a lot of opportunity for success if you're willing to have an open mind and work a little bit. And I didn't have this choice when it was presented to me. There was no buyout. But if I had the choice, looking back now, I would make this choice without a doubt. And I hope that helps everybody understand at least my experience over the years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
The other member we have is Ray Torres. Is it Ray? If you'll
Absolutely. Development with Ellucian's been great for me. Not to go too long into my life story, but kind of a success story. I grew up doing migrant work, working on farms and hoeing beets.
Excuse me, could you move your microphone closer to your mouth? Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Perfect. Growing up, it was always instilled in me that, as a Latino worker, you're not going to go any further than just working in a factory, farm work and such like that. So I worked for Verizon for a while. I was a manager for a store location, and actually one of our staff members at SC4 was one of my customers, and worked with her for years, and it became a great friendship, and came to the point where she offered me an opportunity to work for SC4 with Aleutian, which was a big stepping stone for me, and a success story with them as well. I'm the first in my entire family to have a college degree, which was paid for with Aleutian, which I'm still continuing my education. With Aleutian, they have awesome trainings on an Okta website. So from there, you can take all kinds of, there's thousands of trainings that you can take within it. With that as well, we have a Slack application that's within that where we can reach out to multiple people throughout the globe, essentially with all the employees out there, and ask for help or any sort of best tips and practices as well. So as far as that goes, I'm still continuing my education. I'm going to be going for my bachelor's soon, which again is a big path for me, and also for my culture. I'm working with SC4 currently right now myself, quarterly, trying to figure out some sort of plan to bring in other cultures besides Latino cultures, because within our community, there's other cultures there, but within the actual college, you don't see a whole lot of it. So I'm doing the best that I can to work with SC4, and they actually make me feel like an actual family member. So I'm not looked at as an Aleutian, IT guy, if you will. They treat me with great respect. Nice thing is that we actually have a snow ticketing system. Nice thing about that is that we can keep on track with our customers. If there's any sort of updates in progress, we update the tickets, and at the end, they actually hand out or send out a survey via email. With our site, we do very well with that. Normally, we scale between 1 to 5, 5 being the best, and we normally average 5s across the board consistently, which helps us because it's one of those things that most think that we don't see those, but if there's any sort of time that we can gain, any sort of knowledge, and even work with individuals one-on-one, it's a good opportunity for us. So, and at the end of the day, it's just about the student success, which I think we do fairly well with. So, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you both for sharing.
Thank you.
So as you can see, the IT staff that decides to join the Aleutian team, they have numerous opportunities. Every IT staff member, every member of Aleutian has a customized professional development plan. Every year, the managers sit down with them and talk about their goals. Where do they want to go? What do they want their next step to be? And then they lay out a plan for that, whether that's education, whether that's career development, whether that's career broadening by getting new experience in different roles. We will have part of the career broadening is we occasionally have staff members visit other schools and work with other schools when we do assessments, when we do helping out at different things. So when we do startups or transitions such as this, we'll bring people over so that they get even broader experience and get them exposure to more institutions and more ways of doing things. And then the last one here is that when we offer a package, we are in the higher ed space, but we are a corporation. And so as a result, we pay corporate rates. We pay IT competitive packages. The compensation is competitive for the market. And as you know, the labor market today is pretty hot. And it's a hot market, and that means people don't come cheap. So the compensation is very good.
Well, I guess one of the things I'd like to point out here too is for your staff, and there was a concern I heard about, we're going to ship people off and all that. We're not a corporate outsourcing group. I mean, some people who've been in business, they've outsourced things, and it's called outsourcing. That's what it is. Like, they do this, they try to do it as cheap as possible. They try to get rid of people, pull in contractors, that sort of thing. That's not our philosophy. Like, we've been doing this before corporations did outsourcing. We are partnering with schools to run technology better. And the people who are here on site are dedicated, to Washtenaw. Like Kevin said, that doesn't mean for a week, they might not go somewhere else to learn something, or we might have them in on a problem that multiple people are fixing. But this isn't a shop where we're, flying people all over the place and requiring them to move. It's a a different philosophy than corporate type outsourcing. And that's why we call it a partnership. We really try to stay away from that word because of the connotation of that. It's also no offshoring, of people, and, our where we help with the call center, that's all based in different areas of the U.S. people who are trained in higher education, trained in working with faculty. Even, we have a help desk to help. I mean, I think you guys already have this, but, to help with student services. And those people are registrars, financial aid, and people can call and say, where's my financial aid? If they wanted that type of service too. So it's just making that point that, we're really different than a corporate outsourcing. We really are IT partners for higher education.
This is just an example of where we believe in employee recognition as well. And so many of our institutions hold annual events to recognize the IT staff. Sometimes it's the IT organization doing it, sometimes it's the institution that does it. But many of our staff across the country, surprisingly, have actually won Employee of the Year awards for the institution that they're working at.
This particular school, they were having Christmas parties and holiday parties, and they said, what can we do that's different? So they created an awards dinner that's pretty fancy because they're in Las Vegas, so they're doing it up a little bit more than normal. But then they made it into a fundraiser that they take the monies and they bring it back to the community to help underprivileged kids with reading and bringing technologies into these centers that do after school learning for kids who don't have parents there right after school. So that's the type of thinking, that's going on in the institutions. Hey, we just don't need a party for us. How do we benefit the community? How do we, continue to give back for what we're doing?
But the spotlight, the event itself, though, is for the purpose of recognizing all the great work that the on-site IT staff are doing for the college. The employees, it was mentioned that oftentimes our employees might win College Employee of the Year because nobody knows that they're really on the Ellucian payroll. They are totally integrated with the community. So we are very focused on recognizing all the great work that our IT people do on behalf of the college, and the college appreciates it. And in this case that Lawrence cited, it became an actual fundraiser, and all of those monies that came back, as we're recognizing the IT staff, all of those monies came back to help, provide remedial support for students.
There's some other events like this we'll do, which are, some schools call it technology days, where we hold events that bring technology together. So not only faculty, students, staff can learn about new technologies, but we invite the whole community to it to create awareness of the college itself. So we're bringing in vendors, they're paying to be part of it. We're raising money again to help support this and even give back money if we can. But it's a way to show advanced technologies and really, show community involvement too.
Okay, I know we're running just a little bit long. Only got 2 more slides, so we're just about done. Talk about transition one more time. What happens? This is where the rubber meets the road. What happens in the first 90 days? So we start with a transition team that is ready to hit the ground running. These are people that, after we've done our information collecting, they'll be pre-briefed, they'll be ready to go. And so when we start, it's a group of people that this is their job. All year long, what they do is they go to new institutions that are partnering with us, and they help them make that transition. All right, so this is what they're designed to do. And so they come in, we'll have regional leadership support. Dave will be here as part of that. His boss, the regional vice president, will be part of that. And they'll be here to make sure that all the resources that are needed are here, and that we're getting everything done. We integrate with the culture as part of the transition.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, so I want you to please assure us that when they come, you don't mean they just come. They work with our staff, hopefully the IT staff that stay here. They work with our faculty. They come to work with us to help us transition. I just want to make sure we get that clear, because I don't want, I just want to make sure we're not talking about, I know you made this clear to me, but I want to make sure everyone understands we're not talking about a transition team that comes here and no one else is involved. We don't do it Ellucian's way. they do it our way. I just want to make sure, because I know we talked about that privately, and that came out, and I just want to make sure.
Sure, that's a very, very good point. What Kevin's alluding to is, yes, we have experts that are in transition, meaning that's all they do. And as you know, like there's emergency room doctors, and then there's also other kinds of doctors. So people have specialties. These people are expert at coming in, hitting the deck running, and they have and they know what basically to expect. Most institutions have a lot of common ground. You register students, you process financial aid, et cetera, but everyone, like Washtenaw, has its unique character, its unique culture. So what's most important is, although they know how to implement this transition, they rely heavily on you. They know that you know exactly what needs to be done every day, every minute of the day, week in, week out. So priority number one is for this expert transition team, who does this all the time, that's all they do, to internalize what you give us, what you tell us, what you've documented, the requirements that you already know exist. Now, they do know what to look for, you know, because they've done it hundreds of times. But the most important thing is they are not imposing anything on you. They are taking from you with your help and partnering with you and learning exactly what needs to be done so nothing falls through the cracks, so that we can get off to a great start first day of class. So it's really you dictating exactly what's critical and what's important, but you're working with people that have done this hundreds of times, and it makes for a great partnership. But the key is, we get this input from you. We don't impose how things are to be done.
Right.
And I think that's a key point for how, excuse me, how we work permanently. So for the entire length of our term here working with you, is we will bring best practices, we'll bring methodologies and ways of doing things, but all of it has to be tailored and customized to fit your culture, and all of it is something that you agree to. There is nothing that we impose on you. It's all, what does your faculty and staff, how do they want to operate, how do they want to work, how do they want to make, we'll bring the suggestions. We'll say, here's where we've seen it work very well. And we'll tell you about pros and cons if you want to tweak it or change it. But at the end of the day, it's the institution's decision on how that happens.
Thank you.
And Mike's nodding his head over here because he knows exactly how that plays out. And so that's why under integrate with the culture, the first bullet is, you know, it's a purposeful partnership with students, faculty, staff, and external community members to make this successful. All right. We want to retain the current staff, as many of them as would like to join us, and then we augment them with other resources as necessary to fill in any holes for people that didn't come, or to help out in areas for new things that come along. The permanent team that is working here, when we back to that model, the on-site, highly capable staff, the on-campus staff, they're here, they're permanent. They live here, they work here, they're in your community, they're in your schools, just like your current IT organization. They're not flying in and out, traveling, anything like that. They're here. We create a 30, 60, 90-day plan as part of this process, and so we're looking for performance outcomes. What do we need to get done in those first 30, 60, 90 days? What are the priorities? How do we make this work well? We look at the strategic issues, all right, and say, as we're doing all this, what are the strategic goals we're trying to hit? And then lastly, we're looking for quick wins. A lot of times we come in, there's pain points or things that have been bugging people for years that for whatever reason just don't seem to be able to get fixed. We're able to bring in the additional resources and the help to get a lot of those annoyances, if you will, fixed and addressed quickly. And that helps with the community to make a successful transition. So the last slide is key takeaways. What do we want you to remember at the end of the day here? First, that we are the #1 company in higher ed technology support. Higher education is a small community. Almost everybody in higher ed has worked somewhere else and knows people at a whole bunch of other institutions. We work with 160 different institutions. And for us, one of the key measures of how they view us is, do they continue to have us help them? What is our renewal rate? Our renewal rate every year is in the high 90%. Last year we had 100% renewal. So of those 160 schools, most of them are on 5 to 7 year agreements. And so every 5 to 7 year agreements come up. Muskegon's been 15 years now. St. Clair Community College has been 14 years. We've got some institutions that have been with us for over 20 years.
And we have one that will be celebrating their 50th year with us at ACCT this fall.
So that, to me, says that we're doing well because they want to keep us. Eleusian's already been part of your family since 1998 with Banner and the consultants that have helped you with Banner. We do make competitive offers to all the IT full-time IT staff members. Again, as takeaways, and the staff do live in the area and are part of the community. Because we're in so many institutions, we know what works, and we'll bring those experiences to bear to help Washtenaw. The cybersecurity expertise can't be overemphasized. All right? We're unique in the industry, we're unique in higher education in having this ability and this emergency response force. We've got a team that actually is required to be in the air within 8 hours if there's something that happens. We have our advanced research division that will bring to you innovative, cutting-edge, higher ed technology on any area that you're interested in or that you're looking to address. We've got a long track record of working alongside faculty and staff and increasing student retention, student recruitment, and student success. And lastly, we're accountable for the success, not only the success of IT, but the success of this institution. And we're invested in that.
And I would just say we wouldn't still be here if we didn't have references, if we didn't have colleges like yourself that you could pick up the phone and call and say, hey, how are these guys really? What happens when they come in? And that's key to any due diligence, and I know you're involved in that or have been doing that. So our references, what people say about us in the industry, is really important because we are a small community and everyone talks to everyone.
Thank you.
So that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for that. Wow, what a lot of information. You've certainly given me a lot to think about. And at this time, I'm going to open up the floor to the rest of the board to ask questions of this group and engage. Go ahead.
I'll be glad to start. Our chemistry teacher earlier expressed some concern about all the student laptops that she had that required updating, and can you allay her concerns that Eleusian could provide the necessary service?
I think Mike would like to answer that.
We've been in similar situations. Our exam nursing software will push updates, and when it does that, it'll break the applications. And oftentimes we have to respond within the next day or the same day. We treat those issues as a priority 1 incident, and we're bound by our contract at Muskegon to respond within 30 minutes to any priority 1 incident. So we get people there, we get things fixed, and we're accountable for that outcome.
Classrooms are priority 1.
No, you have to use a mic, please.
Classrooms are always our highest priority. Most of us do teach at some point or another. We've stood in front of a classroom and did our 2-step waiting for the technology to come up. So we appreciate that concern, and it is always our priority.
Well, and just real quick, with our help desks, whether they're on-site help desks, whether they're call-in help desks, we train our help desk folks that one of the first questions is this a class in session? If it's a class in session, it's automatically, as Mike says, a priority 1, and we automatically dispatch someone to address it. For labs, yeah, we work because, again, I hate to keep going back to this, but because the number of institutions we work with, we know all the different software that could possibly be in a lab. We've already tested it. We actually have folks that will test when a new version of something comes out, and then spread to that community, those communities of practice. So all the user services managers will get messages say, hey, this new update came out, be careful of this, it's going to break that. Here's how you fix it. And so it's already realized what the problem is going to be before it even occurs here. So, does that answer your question?
Thank you, yes.
Go ahead, Dave.
So I'm worried about some of the transitional issues, and I've got a couple questions in that regard. And the first one would be for the Muskegon people. How many staff were originally there in the IT arena, and how many retained through the transition process?
We had 10 folks, and all 10 of those folks stayed on at the contract. Now over time, people moved to other jobs and stuff, but it was not it was like many months after we had started up.
And if we could maybe go, you had those slides, is it possible to go back to strength number 11?
Sure.
And I'm looking at this is the initial transition again, and you've got these 4 steps. I'm thinking in terms of a timeline. What do you see as a timeline for those 4 steps to happen? If they're, information gathering takes how long? Planning how long?
Yeah, so some of this happens in parallel, but the information gathering is really already started. So
Okay.
we already are aware of a lot of aspects. We've already been gathering information. Once the board decides that this is the direction they're going to go, then that information gathering starts in earnest. As they're gathering information, the planning is happening. So there's normally a 30-day period between the time we actually come to an agreement that we're going to work together and when Ellucian takes responsibility for the IT organization. And in that time, all of these first 3 stages are happening. So we're doing the information gathering, we're planning on how the transition is going to take place, we're marshaling all the resources and any information that points to a unique skill set that we need, we're making sure we've got that on site. And so then when the day starts, after the 30 days, the days that we're going to start becoming responsible, then we're in position and ready to start implementing those processes.
So would you say it's kind of a firm timeline that you're going to be at step 4 in 30 days? We implement this?
Yeah.
Okay.
We also triage the situation, right? We're going to focus on those operations that have to be in place to start the semester. So again, when we say they happen in parallel, that's very much the case. Information gathering is going to continue for quite some time, but of course we'll prioritize the needs of the term start.
And then what do you find as you bring these contracts or enter into contracts with institutions across the country? Do you have an average percentage of retention of the employees, former employees in the IT department? Can you reveal that to us?
An average retention of the former IT employees? So that one's a little bit difficult. And the reason it's difficult, to be honest, is we have some institutions that literally will say to us, we do not want you to hire any of our employees. We have some institutions that will release their employees at one moment and ask us to come in 5 minutes later. It really depends on the institution and the quality of employees. So that's why I say it's hard to come up with a number like that. In environments like this, where it's not a major dysfunctional IT organization, where you've got a fairly well-performing organization, then it depends entirely on what the IT folks wish to do. So in a case like this, we could offer them phenomenal jobs. There's going to be a percentage that will say, I'll take the severance package, thank you, I'm getting close to retirement, I was always thinking about moving, I was thinking about trying something different, and so for whatever reason, they will choose not to join. So it's never 100%. Where Mike talks about that, that's actually a rarity. But where it's less than 100%, it's almost always because the staff choose not to join the Aleutian team.
What we're excited about here, quite frankly, is we know you have a good team. We'd like to help them get better, as I know they want to get better. We're thrilled with the fact that Washtenaw is offering a transition plan that, frankly, in my 32 years, I have never seen. In my experience, I have never seen a college be as generous as you are planning to be, should you decide to do this, as Washtenaw. More often than not, the college will tell us in advance, well, you come in here and start fresh. And we've had to do that. And we do it because we have the capability to. We don't want to. We want to start with as many boots on the ground as possible and with those people that know the college best, only to augment them and help them be even better. So I credit you for helping us and helping your people by being as generous as you are, because again, I have never seen a plan like this in my history.
Okay, and then to follow up on, or unless...
Real quick, I was going to say, I was sitting there doing the math in my head from Michigan. Over 15 years, we still have 75% of the employees that joined from the school are still employed with us. That 25% that aren't are a combination, I couldn't tell you exactly which one, are a combination of voluntary departures, promotions, and a few rare dismissals.
Okay, so right now we have a full-time staff of 31 in IT. Do you, looking at what, with your initial information gathering, do you see us at that number initially, or, and in the long term, are we going to have a staff that size if we were to enter into a contract with you, or would we see significant cuts in numbers?
So to answer your question, first part initially, yes, we would like to hire all 31 people. And we hope that all 31 people want to come work for us. The reality is we know that we will not get everybody. We understand that, but we would like as many as would be willing to join. In the long term, part of what we do is we make things more effective and efficient. That doesn't mean shrinking the size of the IT staff. What it means is using them for better and higher purposes. So rather than doing some of the manual processes even within the IT staff, we have a central services division. So sometimes, I know your DBA is getting ready to retire, but for instance, if you had a DBA that wanted to join our staff, as we become more efficient, they may end up working part-time for Washtenaw and part-time for another institution. And so a lot of that will be just the natural transition that happens.
Okay, I may have some further questions, but initially I really wanted to hit some of these transitional issues.
Thank you.
And that is critical. Well begun is half done. So we want to get off to a good start. We know that. We've learned that. And we're frankly relying on your good people to help us do that. We've got the cookbook. We know it needs to be done, but we need the input from your community, your staff.
Well, I'm sorry, Diana, first, then you.
My question is, so that if people say, okay, I want to go with you, with your Lucian company, you interview them? Is that what you do? Mm-hmm. And what is the process of this?
It looks an awful lot like an interview that anybody's been on. The difference is, though, is that you're not trying for the job, you've got it, but what we need to know is what you're doing, what your skill sets are, right? So as we develop the plan going forward, we know where best to fit, right? We also know then what resources we can bring in to help with that, either that person or help develop them, right? So really our initial interviews are as much it's really an information gathering, and we actually start that training and development plan right then, right? I'll be taking notes. The team that comes in will be, so we'll have a team that interviews the technical staff. We'll have a team that interviews the applications, the programmers, and those folks. the leadership teams, those folks. So as we're interviewing them, we're taking notes about what their strengths are, what their concerns are, right? Where their unique skills are contributing. And we take all that down, and then we formulate that plan to support them in going forward. So it looks an awful lot like a normal interview, except the person, the Washtenaw IT person, is doing most of that talking to help us understand what they're doing.
So let me just make this clear. So if the person says, if you say the interview committee or whoever is doing the interviewing, if they say, we would like you, but you need to get more training, and the person says, I really don't want to do that much training, what do? You say, you can't have that? I mean, you either take this job or...
Yeah, so part of what you're getting at, to a degree, I think, is standards. We have certain standards and expectations of our employees, and frankly, our standards and expectations are high, because we expect you to hold us to a high accountability. And so if we had someone who we felt needed training and development, the first thing is we would be providing that training and development for them. If they said that they did not want to go to that, or they chose not to do that, then that to us is saying they do not really want to meet the standards that we would require for an employee.
And I think that's what I'm trying to say in a nice way, because there had been a rumor that I heard that that if they are interviewed, that they're not going to get hired anyway. And that was, but I can't make a judgment on that because I'm not in IT and I don't know what goes on in IT. I'm totally ignorant in that area. But I just want to make sure within myself that if a person is interviewed, do they have the full opportunity to be looked at as a hiree? That's what I'm looking at.
Most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I think anything, even if someone didn't have the exact skill sets, or and they needed the training, what we're looking for is the attitude of people who want the training and they want to be at that skill set. And I think any IT professional out here, they want to improve, they want to be the best at what they want. So that's we're looking for those type of people.
Okay.
And so if you don't have exactly what we need right now, that's not a big deal to us, because part of our our strength is providing that training to people. Like Mike, for example, like we have a CIO development program. Before he became a CIO, he was offered that to get into that program and learn what it means to be a CIO.
So, and I heard what Mike was saying, that there's opportunity within the company to grow and move up. It's not just taking courses and improving their skill level. They have opportunity to move up.
Now another point though is Mike didn't have to go to that training. He could, if he's good at what he does, he loves it, and there's continual training that just to keep up with the school needs that he's doing. Like he can stay where he is. Like he's the productive, happy, great employee. Like we're not going to make him, say, hey, you got to go to the next level. Like that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for people to do the work today, but people who also want to grow and do more.
Okay. We do encourage them to try to do more, but again, to Lawrence's point, none of this is required. And as far as the fear of being moved, that's a voluntary thing. Our staff that do relocate, that's their choice. They may relocate for a number of reasons, right? Maybe their families relocate, and we work with them to try to find another location so they can stay within the Aleutian family. And other points, they want to advance, right? And maybe we've got an incredible CIO at the site already, and there's no room for that person to move up. If they choose, and we have they've been through the training and we've developed them, and they're ready to be a CIO, it's their choice. They can either wait, or if they'd like, we'll find them an opportunity at a school that may require them to relocate. The other concern about working from home, again, those are mostly choices. Not 100% of the time, but the vast majority of the time, that's something that our employees are looking for. It might be a young family starting, right, and they want to spend more time with their family. It might be a new opportunity, right, that allows them to move their skill sets up, but that might need to be applied at a number of schools. But again, those are vast majority of those are voluntary. there's not a lot of production in forcing people to relocate. You don't tend to get a lot of production out of them in that situation.
Thank you, because that was something else I heard too, that they're being forced to work from home or move, and so you cleared that up for me. Thank you.
Do you have a question? Go ahead.
Another area that some of the speakers addressed that gave me some concern are issues of organizational culture. And a couple speakers spoke to discrimination and EEOC settlement over transgender discrimination. I'd like you to address that. To me, it concerns me, those sorts of cultural issues, because we want to be respectful of people coming from all walks of life, all genders, all races, all sexual preferences. The other thing that I just want to note out of your team here, only one is a woman, and what the opportunities, if there are to where the opportunities and really the organizational culture for reaching out for advancement of women within the organization. I know that's a big issue in the IT arena overall, nationally.
No, those are great questions. I'll start with the second one first. Our executive team is, I think, at least half female. Our CEO, Laura Epson, is our president and chief executive officer. She's been with us for over a year and a half now. Our product manager, our senior vice president of product, Indian female. Our vice president of people, our chief people officer, female. So we are very much, and you're right, that is a very important aspect of the technology world, and certainly our company, and I believe we're proving it. We are a very diverse organization, and becoming more so. And in fact, our CEO, Laura Epson, she wanted to be here this evening, but she's out of the country, what have you. But your first question, we do not discriminate on any basis. That's in our charter. We are required by law not to do that. Again, diversity is important to us, and we absolutely will not discriminate based on any of the items you mentioned, any of the variables.
May I, because I asked them the question, this came up in, with the issue about the transgender individual. And no, it wouldn't come up here because we don't feel that way. In that case, that's a college making a choice. They fulfill whatever we want. So we asked that question for that reason. So I just want to clarify that.
And a small clarification on that. We do carry out the school's wishes, but now we've learned a limit to that.
Yeah.
We can no longer, we have to obey our own policy, which is that we don't discriminate. So unfortunately, that has put us at conflict on occasion, not very frequently, but that was a challenging lesson.
And contractually, part of what is in all of our agreements is you, as the institution, if there is somebody you think is not a good fit for your community, you have the right to ask us to remove that person from the community. And so when that happens, we're under obligation to take that.
Unless it's for discriminatory.
I was going to say, yeah, we do require that it be for a non-discriminatory reason.
Okay. And one further organizational cultural issue.
Can I just say one other thing? Sure. And we do have a diverse LGBT community within our groups and our communities. Those people are openly open in our group, so we all know that. It's not something that's hidden or anything like that. So it is very accepted and very celebrated within our groups.
Okay, thank you. And then the other organizational cultural issue, we're in an area that is highly supportive of labor and labor organizations, and in fact we host some labor organizations in the summer for national trainings, and some of the speakers spoke to this as well. your sense of at-will employees, unionization. Are you unionized, or how do you interact with colleges that are unionized, that have unionized staffs?
Very good question. We as a company are not, but we work with many, especially community colleges across the country, specifically in the state of New Jersey and elsewhere. We work very closely with unions, whereby some of the staff as part of the IT department are union members. We co-operate, co-work with them, and we have reporting structures that are consistent with and follow their collective bargaining agreements. So, we do have many situations where we work with unions, and we have no problem with that.
So I want to follow up. Would our IT department, although employed by you, Ellucian, if we had the contract with you, could they be unionized and fit within our staff union structure or contract structure?
I guess that's a question for our legal department. Personally, I would say no, because once they become an employee of Ellucian, and I could be wrong, I don't know if a union can operate that way, whereby they come into the Ellucian organization. I don't know. But Ellucian is not a union corporation. We work very closely and very well with unions in a, quote, mixed shop. Some are union, some are not. I'd have to defer that question to our legal department. I don't know. I can guess, but I don't know.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ruth.
What would be your plan for working with our IT department that doesn't have a CIO?
CIO.
Right now, who does not have? Oh, we would provide the CIO.
So you would hire the CIO?
We
yes.
have a CIO. Peter Bosco is our CIO.
Oh, right now.
Right now, but that's temporary.
We will be working with him and developing a statement of work that makes sense for Peter, Campus Works, and Ellucian. Typically, long-term, we provide CIO, but for now, it looks like, you have someone in place. We'll see how that statement of work pans out as to who does what.
Okay.
To any of the staffers, how long are we on contract with Campus Works? Are we still on contract for another year? Can't remember.
We're under contract till the end of March of next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
End of
March of 20.
End of March next year.
Yeah.
Okay, who had a question?
Oh, you want to know how that worked? Do you want to explain what you did to accommodate that contract as well as yours?
Sure.
I think that's important to the board.
When we had worked with Ellucian to understand their model, we made it clear that the partnership with Campus Works was a crucial part of where we are now. And we wanted to make sure that Ellucian was going to strongly value and integrate the services that we have under contract through the end of next March. And so they've taken that into account to leverage Peter Bosco and Bill Ochark and the SME hours that are part of our current contract.
Should we expect that you're not going to ask us to renew Campus Works? Are you expecting to transition fully to Ellucian? Is that in the budget? Oh, you answered that then. Okay. Okay. Any other questions here? Anybody else?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Came to my. Just came to. Okay. Okay. Oh, wow.
You're on.
It just came to my mind about, you mentioned billing hours. Someone mentioned billing hours.
I don't.
But, so, yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that if when people work, like when something happens, like a breakdown or a system breakdown, do you bill for that?
No,
I
that we-
apologize. When I used that, I made a contrasting point, meaning we don't do that. In other words, we enter into a fixed price contract, and we are fully accountable for success, and whatever it takes, we have to get the job done. If, we have to bring in extra resources or what have you, but no, we do not bill by the hour.
Okay, and so, okay, I'm glad you cleared that up for me, but then what about tickets? Now, the tickets when I call in, like today, my computer crashed. It worked fine last night. This morning, it does not work. I have a malware. I called someone here who I thoroughly trust, and they were having difficulty in trying to get it together. And I'm hoping that it will be together, if not today, by tomorrow. But that's a ticket. So how does that work in billing? Is that a billing thing or not?
No, that's just part of what we do.
That's part of what you do. Okay.
And I think, that it's probably the same sort of ticketing methodology.
Right.
We talked about ITIL, Information Technology Infrastructure Library Framework, and there's something called ITSM, is IT Service Management. We help the staff get trained in that and help that become part of how they deliver. And it gets into high customer service, looking for problems that occur frequently, fixing those at the root level so they don't occur, again. But we also have the people to fix, like you have on staff, but if we have to help complement them, we have PC resources, Mac resources, like we have all those types of expertise within the company that can come to bear to supplement the staff too.
Okay, thank you.
And I would just add, we use the same ticketing system as employees as our sites do. We're all using the same help desk. So, my computer did the same thing yesterday, and I had a tech on my cell phone texting me within an hour. So it's the same system.
Ruth, you had a question?
Well, I just remember you said something about if we don't perform, we don't get paid. We have a contract, so you do get paid.
Yeah. Yeah, what that means is you hold us to a high standard. We're entering into a partnership that's based on services, outcomes, and providing you with a highly effective IT operation. If you are not satisfied with that, then you take us to task, and you could consider us in breach of contract, or look for some kind of a credit or remediation somehow. So it's a point that I'm making when I say we are held to a very strict and very high level of performance. And if we don't fulfill that, then you have every right to take us to task on that and look for, monetary compensation or breach or what have you. Versus if we were to provide a time and materials type agreement and somebody shows up and they're there, they basically earn the money. We don't unless we perform.
Go ahead, Dave.
One other area, I'm really concerned with cybersecurity issues. I don't want to be shut down like the city of Baltimore was. And that's one thing that you bring as a team, a response team. I'm wondering, you didn't present this by any chance, do you provide, I know the college has insurance, liability insurance, and things that we might, if we had to respond to some liability issues that we have capabilities, but do you have any additional insurance or things that could cover if something was at the fault of your company, although I know you're bringing additional resources in that would help, like mitigate any issues.
Yeah. So there is insurance that Ellucian carries, and it is in the contract for anything that we do that if we cause a problem. We do have insurance for that. The institution, though, would also still have cybersecurity insurance to protect them in case it was not an Ellucian employee that caused the breach, or caused the issue. So.
Thank you.
There is insurance, yes.
We also, one of the services we provide through our corporate team is, if you would like, we can review the school's insurance to make sure it is truly the coverage that you need. They have a lot of expertise in that as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Angie, did you have anything?
No, everything I wanted to ask was already been answered and asked and answered. So.
I just wanted to say, as the one woman on the table, since the female question was answered by a man,
I get this all the time.
that just because of the makeup here, we have many CIOs who are female. We have many general managers who are female, vice presidents. I'm a senior director myself. We have a high level of, forward movement for all of us, women of color, women in general. Diversity, and as part of Pride Month this month, if you hit our social media accounts, you're going to see that displayed, as well as activities internally that we're going through as part of that celebration. So just wanted to make sure you all knew that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, she is my boss.
She would have killed me if I answered that and said that.
Okay. Are there any other board questions or comments at this time? Okay. I would like to thank everybody who remained for the meeting. I know it's a late night and a long meeting. I really appreciate you staying and hearing them out. I would encourage you to continue to write to the board and engage us. Let me know your thoughts on this, because we are going to vote on this at the end of the month. We have a lot to think about and a lot to consider. Also, notice that there are some Elution workers here. This is your opportunity tonight to grab them and pull them into the corner and ask them what it's really like. Take this opportunity. It helps you make your decision. This is a life decision that you have to make, and I respect that and I understand it. So take the opportunity to engage these people while you can. Yes, sir.
And also, if tonight's too late and everybody's been here, we're happy to bring more people back, talk to more staff. So it doesn't have to happen tonight. We don't want everybody to feel like it's your last chance. Okay. We're more than welcome to come, more than happy to come back and have more detailed conversations.
Okay, if requested, we will try to facilitate engagement.
Yes.
Yes, Ruth.
I'm sorry, but I do have one more question. Is it possible for our own, let me back up. We make a presentation, we have a presentation to our board about the diversity of our institution. And I'm wondering if you could give us some summary of the diversity of your institution, perhaps not a sexual orientation one, but minorities, women, and I'd like to know what that looks like for your institution, since we have one woman, we have one man of color. You don't count because you're not losing. But I'm concerned that I'm looking at some very pale faces here.
We can provide that.
Thank you.
Okay. And we'll provide that with our people team.
Okay.
I would just like to say, unbeknownst to me, going to the different conferences and knowing some of these people here from Lucian, I have met a lot of people of color. And I have spoken with them and didn't, because we used to go to dinners, and I met them at the conference. So I can attest that they have a good range of diversity in their staff.
Just like to see the numbers.
I'm not disputing that, I'm just giving you my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
Can I make a motion for adjournment?
Yes, please.
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
Support?
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.